100 years. And now, gentlemen, start your engines!
We have ignition, and we're ready to blast off at Michigan. Let's go topside with the folks who'll give you the call: Mike Joy, Ned Jarrett, and Buddy Baker.
Thanks, Ken. Hello, everyone. Last year, Dale Jarrett took the lead on lap 53 and never looked back, winning the fastest 400-mile NASCAR race ever run. Kind of stunk up the show, Ned. I'm sorry. I know he's your son, but he made it a tough day. I don't think we'll see that today because there are so many question marks.
Yeah, I don't think we'll see that either, Mike. There are a lot of question marks. Happy hour, the final practice for the Winston Cup drivers yesterday afternoon, was cut short by about half because of the accident of Elliott Sadler. Took some chunks out of the racetrack down there, repaired that. Will that have an effect on the cars going into the turn down there? And a lot of the drivers didn't get the cars set up the way that they wanted to, and so I think it's going to be interesting here in the first laps of this race.
Well, Buddy Baker won this race in 1979, competed here as recently as '93, and tested here just last week. What's changed about this racetrack?
Not a whole lot. I tell you, the racetrack is real wide, a lot of racing room out there. You start off on the bottom, the tires start to give up. You have to adjust all day to have the perfect car for the last part of the race. That's very important here.
Well, could this be the day that Bobby Labonte breaks out with that point-standing lead and establishes some dominance? He leads over Ward Burton coming in. Dale Earnhardt, Dale Jarrett, past champions. Mark Martin, perennial contender. And Jeff Burton, the top half dozen. And there's the rest of the top 12, including rookie Matt Kenseth, as they come in here for race 14 of the season. We'll be back with the starting lineup and the start of the Kmart 400.
CBS Sports presentation of the 2000 Kmart 400 is sponsored by Kmart, where NASCAR fans race for savings. Brewery Fresh Budweiser, official beer of NASCAR. Hey, race fans, this Bud's for you. And by Nextel, how business gets done.
Welcome back to Michigan Speedway, where the big story is the weather. That storm that dumped heavy rains on Texas last night is headed this way in a hurry. 77 degrees right now. Humidity is very high. And thunderstorms are said to be within about 45 minutes of the Speedway if they continue in this direction. They come around for the first of 3 pace laps. Let's have a look at the starting lineup. Bobby Labonte's the new track record holder, and Ricky Rudd, the winner of this race in '93. They share the front row. Row 2, Jeff Gordon, winner at Talladega, and Rusty Wallace, the winner this year at Bristol. Joe Nemechek has a 5th at Atlanta this year, and Dale Earnhardt Jr. is a rookie, but he's the circuit's only 2-time winner this year. Row 4, Jeff Burton, the Vegas winner, and Bill Elliott, who's won this race 4 times. Dale Earnhardt, 3rd in the point standings, and John Andretti in the 5th row. Johnny Benson, the only Michigan native in the field, and Kevin LePage. Ward Burton, the number 2 point man, and Steve Park. Row 8, Boston Marathon runner Michael Waltrip and rookie Scott Pruitt, who won a 500-miler here in Champ Cars in '95. Dave Blaney, the former sprint car star, and Kenny Irwin in the 9th row. Mark Martin, the Martinsville winner, and Ken Schrader in the top 20. Elliott Sadler and Jeremy Mayfield. Matt Kenseth, the rookie, and Wally Dallenbach. Robbie Gordon, his 2nd start here, and Dale Jarrett, defending race champion. Mike Bliss, the rookie, and Tony Stewart, who won last week. Rick Mass for A.J. Foyt, and Mike Skinner, 2nd at Talladega. Robert Presley and Jerry Nadeau. Stacy Compton with Kenny Wallace in the 17th row, and also timing into the field Kyle Petty and Jeffrey Bodine. Terry Labonte's 650th consecutive start, and Chad Little among the provisional starters that include Sterling Marlin, Jimmy Spencer, Bobby Hamilton, Brett Bodine, and Ed Berrier.
There were 3 drivers that failed to qualify: Ricky Craven, Darrell Waltrip, and Dave Parker.
Manufacturer's breakdown is 19 Fords in today's field, 14 Chevrolets, 10 Pontiacs. Ford holds an edge there with 6 wins, Chevrolet with 4, and Pontiac with 3.
There are 43 cars starting here today. They'll go for 200 laps. That's 400 miles on this 2-mile track. A purse a little over $2.3 million. Fuel window 50 to 55 laps. The race record was set a year ago today by Dale Jarrett at almost 174 miles an hour.
Fritos takes us inside racing as Buddy Baker takes us a lap around Michigan.
A great racetrack as we head out of pit road. Very wide racetrack. Room for 3 cars to race side by side in the corners. 18 degrees in first and second corner. Down the long back straightaway here. Speeds around 192, 93. As they go into turn 3, the line is a little bit lower than the cars running here. As you sweep off turn 4 down the front stretch, it's 12 degrees and the fastest part of the racetrack.
Well, you'll ride along with 8 of the best drivers in America today, including pole sitter Bobby Labonte, the Circuit City camera on board his Joe Gibbs Pontiac. And from the outside pole, Ricky Rudd, the Texaco Haviland cam, and his Robert Yates Ford. From 6th position, the Bud cam on board with Dale Earnhardt Jr. Chevrolet. The Super 8 camera in Bill Elliott's Ford from the 8th position. And the Visa cam charging along with Mark Martin in his Ford from 19th. There's the Citgo camera. It's a new camera after yesterday for Elliott Sadler. And the Wood brothers, you see he's dropped to the tail end of the field with a backup car. The Home Depot cam, last week's winner, Tony Stewart for Joe Gibbs Racing in the Pontiac, starting 28th. And finally, the Roush Racing Ford, that's the John Deere camera, on board with Chad Little. And let's check with Ralph Sheen.
Dale Earnhardt Jr. has decided not to take any of the ice packs that they were thinking about putting inside the car. He has done no trick things. He's just going to gut it out in the early stages of this race. At this point, they don't even have a standby driver waiting for him. Dick?
Well, this racetrack has a reputation as fuel important. How much mileage you get may well determine who wins this race, and there's a very simple reason for that. There are very few caution flags here. For the last 4 years, it's averaged just 2, 6 at all other racetracks. So, make the fuel last as long as you possibly can. That's a key to winning. Bill Stevens.
While Bobby Labonte scampered in qualifying with his Pontiac, one driver that had a problem all weekend was the guy in the Pontiac right behind Bobby Labonte in the points, Ward Burton. Crew Chief Tommy Baldwin Jr. said the car really hasn't reacted to the Michigan racetrack the way they expected. The good news, it's the same car that won in Darlington, and it's never finished out of the top 10. Back upstairs.
Under threatening skies, let's go racing in the Kmart 400. Bobby Labonte in green, Ricky Rudd in black and orange. Bring them down. Green flag is in the wind. We're racing. And it is Rudd breaking out front in turn 2.
Sometimes that outside groove can work to your advantage, especially on the start of a race. You build up that momentum and able to pull the body off the turn.
A lot of cars out there right now being very careful as they build the air pressure up. They start with the air pressure a little low to get maximum grip as the air pressure starts to build in these cars.
Bobby Labonte didn't hear you, Ned. Here he comes on the bottom trying to lead lap 1. Give it to Rudd by half a car length.
NASCAR Winston Cup Racing, there's 5 bonus points for leading a lap. Rudd got that bonus on that lap. Now Labonte has taken the lead.
5th race that Ricky Rudd has led this year, and they are 3 wide behind him for 5th place.
Wow. Down the long back straightaway there, you see the first 2 cars breaking away from Rusty Wallace, the 3rd place car there, number 2. These guys are really going at it. They're not waiting on air pressure to build up.
9 cars single file, and then it's anybody's battle. There's the single file train, and right behind them, they are all stacked up 4 wide off the 4th corner.
This is the type of racing that you become accustomed to seeing here at the Michigan Speedway, especially in the early going.
Robbie Gordon there in that orange car, number 13, he was 4 wide there. I'm glad they decided to make it 3 wide, but this is what makes Michigan so famous. 3 wide through the corners. They battle side by side.
These turns are 76 feet wide in the turn, so there is a lot of room there.
Behind Gordon, they were 4 wide all the way through turns 1 and 2.
Tony Stewart in the 20 there on the bottom, Dale Earnhardt Jr. in the 8, and Mike Skinner in the 31 there. They're going up through the field here just behind Robbie Gordon, who's made some bold moves in the first part of this race. He's in the 13, that orange car.
Bobby Labonte from Ricky Rudd. And we ride with Dale Earnhardt Jr. That's Robert Presley just ahead of him.
You can see a little mist coming up on the windshields as we ride down the back straightaway. Certain parts of the racetrack showing a little bit of moisture on the cameras on the top of the cars there.
Three wide right where we're watching. Yeah, they're just not going to give it up racing three wide. Look at Tony Stewart dropping back.
Yeah, Robbie Gordon, he stuck his nose up there in the middle and went right on through. He's in the orange, number 13.
I think Tony Stewart backed out to get that run right in the center part of the corner. You can see him going by Robbie Gordon right in the center part of the corner. He had a great run through the center part. Wally Dolan back in the 75 there as Tony Stewart's trying to go by him down the back straightaway.
Stewart needs a little drafting help and doesn't have any right behind, but he completes the pass into turn 3.
His car seems extremely fast through the turns, and that's very important here at Michigan Speedway.
But he's running net about 4.5 seconds behind the leader, and there's a report perhaps of right front tire smoke on Ricky Rudd, the second place car.
That could be one of two things. If he's got a big push in the car, it would smoke that tire a little bit, but he may have made a little contact with somebody. I do not see the smoke that they're talking about at the moment, though.
Keep an eye for that, buddy. The top 15 now have gone single file, and there is just a touch of it. Rudd hangs on to second place, 0.4 of a second behind Bobby Labonte.
Pulled away a little bit from Rusty Wallace, who is running in third position.
And you see behind the two leaders, they've ganged up single file because running laps here at 178 miles an hour, the draft is very effective. We'll see if those 5 can pull up to the leader.
And the one thing you have to remember, we're in lap 6 now. The better handling cars will start to balance out, and they'll move up if they have anything to move up with. The front two cars right now, Ricky Rudd looking to take the lead.
Goes down to the inside. Labonte's going to not fight him too much. Said, okay, if you want to go that fast, go ahead.
Ned, is this maybe where Bobby Labonte starts to think about conserving fuel?
Could very well be that he would do that. Let's go to the pits and Dick Berger.
Well, Labonte's crew has, in fact, been worried about that tire smoke that Ricky Rudd may be experiencing just a lap or two ago. His spotter radioed down to Labonte and said, in fact, that there is smoke coming off number 28. He just did it again. Just as I'm giving this report, the spotter did it again. Terrell Shaheen.
Well, Dick, the problem with the smoke is that the tire on the right front is rubbing inside the fender well. Now, they will start with the air pressures down on these tires. Michael McSwain, the crew chief for Ricky Rudd, is not concerned about it because as the heat builds up in these tires, they will actually get a little bit thinner and a little bit taller, and he feels like once that takes place, it'll pull that tire away from the fender. It should be okay.
So there's Rudd. Last lap, 180.8, as he pulls the train around Michigan Speedway.
I can tell you one thing, it'd have something to do with my foot if I was running second. And I looked up here and seen that smoke coming off the right front.
Upper left of your screen, when one of those position boxes shows up in green, that driver has gained a spot last lap. If it shows up red, that driver has lost a position. Kevin LePage moving up. Jeremy Mayfield, Robert Presley, Terry Labonte, and Bobby Hamilton have each gained 11 positions since they dropped the green flag. Tony Stewart has picked up 9 positions from where he started, moving from 28 to 19. There's the battle up front.
Yeah, they're drafting long. Rusty Wallace has broke away there in third place and starting to close in on the leaders just a little bit in the number 2 car.
Bill Elliott in fourth place.
Well, I tell you, that smoke on that right front, if it goes away, it's going to do a miracle job because it is rubbing pretty hard.
Yeah, and it has to have Ricky Rudd and his crew very concerned.
The two leaders are not going to be alone for long. Rusty Wallace is now within about 6 car lengths of second. And here is Stewart continuing to climb the ladder. He's now up to 14th. And going after LePage, that's 13th position.
And right on the white line, down where nobody else is able to run right at the moment. He seems to have the lowest line on the racetrack at the moment, and it's working.
Tony's had a busy weekend. He flew down to Bristol, Tennessee to see the World of Outlaws as they put clay over the asphalt surface of Bristol's 5/8 mile. Flew down and back, commuted down there to see the show, and here he's ready to go.
Well, you know, at Dover last week, he dominated the race by doing exactly the same thing he's doing as he comes up through the field. He was able to run lower than anyone else and pick the throttle up just a little bit quicker because there's nobody running down there, so it's a cleaner track.
Front two, bumper to bumper, Wallace. Then Elliott, then Gordon. Leading the 33 of Nemechek, then John Andretti, Dale Earnhardt, Jeff Burton, Jeremy Mayfield, the top 10.
Earnhardt and Mayfield. Earnhardt in the black number 3, Mayfield in the blue and white number 12. They sort of hooked up when they came through by the start-finish line the last time around and were trying to draft together toward turn 1.
And now Jeff Burton in the 99, he's made it a 3-car battle as they go down the back straightaway there. And there is drafting here, just like Talladega and at Daytona. Once they get in line like that, they can really catch a car in front of them.
Yeah, you can feel the draft. It's not quite as effective as you would see at Daytona and Talladega, where they run as close as they do, or all the cars run as close together, because the handling comes into play so much more here.
Elliott Sadler started 43rd in a backup car. He's moved up to 39th. That's the Wood Brothers number 21. You ride with Sadler, the Virginia driver. Ricky Rudd, the leader. Bobby Labonte, Rusty Wallace, 12 laps complete. Welcome back to Michigan Speedway. 15 laps, green all the way. Bobby Labonte has gone back to the lead over Ricky Rudd and Rusty Wallace. We'll show you the path. Labonte draws a bead on Rudd up in 3 and 4 and does it the highway.
Well, he's got momentum up there, and Ricky's really not putting up much of a battle there. He's very content to drop in. He'll start drafting him down the front straightaway there. The two of them are making a lot of good time by not racing each other side by side.
Looks like they're having a good time out there, buddy.
But look here, last time around 3 and 4, Ned, Labonte was on the bottom of the racetrack, and Ricky was 2 groups above him.
You remember me talking not long ago, Ned, about they'll start moving around on the racetrack to find where the car works?
The cars will change a little bit, and the racetrack will change a little bit.
Trouble, turn 4. Car is bounced off the wall into the infield.
Bobby Hamilton, a lot of damage to the right side of that car.
Boy, he just pancaked the wall with the right side, didn't he? Hamilton had gained 14 positions since the drop of the green flag.
He was making a good move towards the front. Brett Bodine had fallen way back. He's lost a cylinder on his Ford.
And they come to the caution flag at lap 17. Everybody out of the throttle, and everyone save Hamilton still on the lead lap. Now the window net's still up, and that's a sign the driver needs assistance.
I see him moving around in there, though. I did see movement inside the car. Here he comes out now. That's a good sign.
Bobby Hamilton. Okay. Gives a wave to the fans up there in turn 3, but that was a nasty hard hit to the wall.
He's looking there at the right front as if maybe the tire let go.
So they'll hook Hamilton up, and at only 18 laps, any chance of seeing pit stops?
I think we will. I think we will see pit stops. They want to check out those tires, and it'll help them as far as any fuel mileage is concerned too.
Also, any minor adjustments to the chassis, because they have run long enough to get heat in the tires now and know what they need to just fine-tune a little bit.
So Bobby Hamilton helping with the recovery operation for his Morgan McClure Chevrolet. 18 laps complete. Pace car bringing the leaders to turn 4. And Bobby Labonte down to the apron, and it looks like most of the cars will follow him in.
I have a feeling that the pace car is going to be out on the racetrack in a lonely
right
position.
by himself.
I think you're right, Ned. They're your 3 leaders, top to bottom as they come in: Labonte, Rudd, and Wallace.
Give Rudd's crew an opportunity to check out, see where that smoke was coming from. Let's go to the pits and Dick Berger.
Well, Bobby Labonte's crew chief is counting him in. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Jeff Chandler heads out to the right front tire. He's also the team coordinator for pit stops. They're going to pull a rubber out of the shock. Boom, there it goes to try to help the handling. They've got to get the tires from the right side out of the pit box in order to avoid a penalty. To Ralph.
Wolf and Ray Holm go to work on Ricky Rudd's car. No changes will be made to the suspension on this car or air pressures. They definitely just want to change tires and put fuel in it. They want to take a look at that right front tire and see how bad it was.
One car did not hit. One only car behind the pace car hit.
That was Brett Bodine. I mentioned that he'd had a problem with the engine in his car only running on 7 cylinders, so he said, hey, I might as well stay here and get 5 bonus points.
That's that rubber that goes in the spring there. They jerked it out to make that spring softer so it gets better bite.
And smoke from Steve Park's car, who came to a halt in the middle of the pit lane and then went back out after a jack wrench was removed from it. So a busy day on pit road as Bobby Hamilton's car, what's left of it, is hauled back to go on the truck. The best news, Bobby walked away from that one.
It hasn't been a good year for Bobby Hamilton and the Morgan McClure race team. They've run well in a number of races, but boy, it just seems like one thing and then another bites them.
So let's show you what happened up in turns 3 and 4 from Chad Little's John Deere cam. There's Hamilton in the wall already and coming right across.
Ooh, close. Now Brett Bodine gives up the lead and comes into the pits, and Rusty Wallace will be the man that beat everybody out.
Rusty came in third and went out first. So Wallace is the new leader of the race from Ricky Rudd, Jeff Gordon, Kenny Irwin, and Bobby Labonte, who came in first and came out fifth. We'll be right back to Michigan. "21 laps complete here at Michigan. Rusty Wallace, the leader. The Spirit of Goodyear, one of 7 airships in the Goodyear fleet, providing these aerial views of Michigan Speedway and the field coming by on the final lap of this first caution of the day. With Rusty Wallace ahead of Ricky Rudd, Jeff Gordon, Kenny Irwin, and Bobby Labonte after the pit stops. You see that Labonte went in first, came out fifth. Rudd stayed the same. Rusty gained 2 spots. Jeff Gordon picked up 1, and Bill Elliott dropped 2. Here's Dick Berggren.
Steve Park came into today's race with great optimism, thought he might win it, but this has put a real crimp in his day. This is the pressure side of his power steering line, and as you saw at the beginning of the shot right there, it's been cut off. Somehow the crew doesn't have a spare here. They've had to go all the way back to the garage to get a spare, so he's running without power steering. To Ralph Shaheen.
Michael McSwain is a crew chief for Ricky Rudd. You had a chance to take that tire off, Michael. Did you look at it? Were you concerned about the rubbing?
We're not that concerned. We pretty much knew what it was. We had a little bit of it yesterday in practice, so we beat on a little bit. Obviously, we didn't get enough of it, but the Texaco Avalon Ford is running real good. I think we're going to be okay.
We're back under green. Rusty Wallace hauls him down to turn 1. Single file restart, all cars there on the lead lap. Bobby Labonte on the inside on the move at 4th place.
Boy, Rudd has got a great car. He just zooms up out of the corner there as they come down the front straightaway. That car is on the move. He's got some of that famous Robert Yates power, but Rusty fights back on the outside. Jeff Gordon now in 3rd place doing a great job also.
Well, Rusty retakes the lead going into the turn. Here's Earnhardt in the black number 3 and Jeremy Mayfield battling side by side. And it looks like right there, the outside groove is the better place to be coming off the turn.
Rudd for the lead against Wallace.
Rusty said that works so good for him. I think I'll look down there myself. But Jeff Gordon, he's looking to the high side, and one thing you don't want is somebody right over you as you start in the corner. It loosens the car up, which makes the back end a little bit light and hard to handle.
Bill Elliott on the move up to 7th place. There was a time when he all but owned this racetrack. He's run strong here in recent years, but hasn't quite seen the success of the 80s. Maybe today. There's Stewart on the bottom in that shot.
And that car will be more dominant as they go along and the tires get hot and balance is a premium. He starts to move, and so will the 12 car. That lower line really comes in after the tires start going away on the cars running the higher groove.
Going to leave Kenny Irwin stacked up in that top groove as Ricky Rudd opens up a little advantage here. Ned, I'm surprised Rudd's been able to pull away like that. I mean, he got 6 car lengths in one lap.
Well, he really did, and I think it's because that car, as Buddy mentioned a moment ago, is coming off the corner so well. That thing is hooked up coming off the turns, and if you get a car that'll turn and so you can accelerate fully coming off the corner like he's doing right now, you can make up some time on it.
Tony Stewart just passed John Andretti and Kenny Irwin 3 abreast, and here's Irwin returning the favor off into turn 3. That's Stewart in number 20. Let's watch from Bill Elliott.
Yeah, and there goes Stewart, as I was talking about, on that lower line. He just fades right out into traffic, uses the draft down the straightaway. Now he'll break to the bottom again once he gets to the corner.
Well, right up in front of him, they were 3 wide here going into turn 1 for 3rd position. They sort of got back down to 2 wide there as we ride with Bill Elliott, looking at Kenny Irwin.
And just ahead, Stewart on the inside. Bobby Labonte's moved back up into 2nd position and taking Jeremy Mayfield with him.
Watch Tony Stewart here. He looks like he's going out in the infield. He's so low on the racetrack. This is him right in the bottom part of the racetrack. He's really hauling it.
Up against Robert Presley there. Jasper Ford, Stewart running the short way around. It's a 400-mile race. He may only run about 395 and finish every lap.
It's fun to watch, and it's fun to drive a race car that handles that well, because you can go down where nobody else is running. You don't have to check up for cars that are in front of you like the guys that are running up high where everybody's at.
From the Home Depot onboard camera with Stewart. Pops up in line there right behind Presley and goes to work downstairs again.
Jeff Gordon says, whoa, wait a minute, I'm not going to let you go under me. Oh, his tearaway just flew off the windshield. They put little plastic tearaways on the windshields as they go along, and that piece just flew off, made the windshield much clearer, better for me to look through anyhow.
Yeah, look at Gordon climb the hill, and Stewart's right underneath him alongside, and Stewart's going to complete the pass. Oh, not enough room to get back up to the top lane.
No, and they'll make him pay for that down the straightaway, but when they hit the corner again, he'll take over and run much quicker. He has a better car in the corners right now.
Jeremy Mayfield battling Bobby Labonte for 2nd place. And let's check with Ken Squier.
And with Jerry Glanville. Jerry, as we watch this scramble out here, you don't get the sense of speed that we're getting. They're well over 180 miles an hour as they attack these corners. Those corners are so easy to go through.
Well, that turn number 1, you can really drive it as hard as probably any place in NASCAR. But if you go down there real fast in 1 and 2, and I think you saw that with Bobby Hamilton making the move. If you go into 3 wheels real fast, in fact, Sterling Marlin told me he calls it the hospital hop, and that's how you jump up and smack that wall in turn 4. And Bobby was so fast in 1 and 2, that drove him up in the wall in turn 4.
Average speed is down after the Hamilton caution at 143 miles an hour. Doesn't look like we're going to get a record breaker like we had at 173 miles an hour a year ago, set by Dale Jarrett. Back to Mike Joy.
30 laps on the board. Ricky Rudd is the race leader. He is the only man in the NASCAR Winston Cup top 10 in the points who does not have a victory this year. 12 different winners in 13 races. Earnhardt Jr., the only repeater. And here's last week's winner, Stewart, up against Jeff Gordon as they roll into the corner for 4th place.
Yeah, and he has to be real careful not to get too close to the 24. There's a lot of turbulence built up by the 2 cars when they run in the corner. Outside car will pull the back of the front car around, and you see Stewart finally got by Gordon.
Now, we talked at the top of the show about fuel mileage. Tony Stewart said yesterday, he says, I am not a fuel mileage racer. I think the fastest car ought to win. And you see it in his driving right there. Yeah. I don't see any conserving going on there.
Well, they told me he has 2 speeds, wide open and stop. So, I mean, that's why he does not conserve fuel.
Yeah, when he backed off the gas to get that thing set in the corner, he just plants his foot on the accelerator, and that puts a lot of gas through the carburetor. So, yeah, he's not a fuel mileage expert as far as the driver is concerned. He just likes to put that foot down and go.
Let's go back to the battle for ninth. That's Kenny Irwin in blue, green, and every other color, trying to hold off Bill Elliott and John Andretti.
John Andretti coming back from an injury at Charlotte, had a broken rib, but he told me he was 100% now. He's driving the 43, the blue car there. Said he's 100% now, and he plans to go the whole race today.
Oh, as you see Earnhardt on the right side of the screen have to lift out of it. He had a run going on the bottom. Kevin LePage came down and closed that gap.
Well, they don't do you any favors out here, I promise you. You make it as tough as you can without really creating a problem for the guys when you're racing. One thing you don't want to do is give them the preferred line if you can help it.
So Earnhardt follows LePage through. There you see them on the bottom side. .33 of 100 laps. Mayfield and Labonte have been unable to hook up and run down race leader Ricky Rudd. And here you see this pack starting to develop into a battle. That's Irwin on point. Bill Elliott right behind him. Andretti third in that line. LePage, Earnhardt, Jeff Burton, Dale Jarrett. For more on Mayfield's run today, Bill Stevens.
Mike Jeremy qualified 22nd, was only 15th fastest in happy hour. Now he's in second place. Peter Suspenso, the crew chief. You guys seem to be peaking at the right time.
Well, I didn't hear what you said, but we're running pretty good right now. The car just a little bit tied off and a little adjusted as the race goes on.
Why so much better now? We haven't seen anything so far that would lead us to believe you had such a good car.
Well, we didn't qualify as good as we thought we should, and we knew we had a better car, and we knew we were going to be good for the race.
Well, we're one of the fastest cars on the racetrack right now.
That they are, running 1 second behind race leader Ricky Rudd. Now, we mentioned Dale Jarrett a moment ago in that pack. Here he is with his old running mate Earnhardt.
Yeah, he's got a good run on Earnhardt down the front straightaway, and he has Robert Gordon just behind him, helping him there, pushing him down through the front straightaway. They should get by Earnhardt.
You were right, they did. Jarrett's car seems to be working well down on the inside of the racetrack as well. He dropped back to about 30th position at the start of the race after starting in 26th position, and then began to move back a little bit. Had a great pit stop, 15.8 seconds, and that picked him up a few positions.
35 laps complete. Ricky Rudd leading Jeremy Mayfield, Bobby Labonte, and Tony Stewart. Wednesday on CBS, Survivor is the smash hit of the summer. Critics and audiences are calling it a winner. Don't miss the show everybody's talking about and find out who will be voted off the island next on an all-new Survivor. Wednesday at 8 Eastern, 7 Central.
Ramona, don't eat that bug, please. Did you see that?
How would they vote anybody named BB off the island? I wouldn't have voted you off.
Well, I'm going off too, you know, so BB's not a popular name right now.
Stop it. 39 laps complete. Coming up on 80 miles. What's that, Fantasy Island? And Ricky Rudd leads from Jeremy Mayfield and Bobby Labonte. But Labonte's got company, and it's his teammate, Tony Stewart's giving him a run for it in turn one.
Right down on the inside where his car's been working all day long. I think he'll get the position. Yes, he does. Drives it right down to the bottom of the racetrack.
Now,
Labonte's been searching around to find a place.
Yeah, but watch off the corner. That high line really gives you a good run down the straightaway, but Stewart made the pass. That's the important part.
Did the old slide job, slid right up in front of his partner, so Bobby had to back off there for a little bit.
You watch enough of those outlaw races, and you get a feel for that, don't you?
Right.
Yeah, and if you're at home, you're probably saying, well, why don't he go down there with Stewart? Well, Stewart set his car up to run down there where Bobby Labonte uses more racetrack. He has his car set for the higher line. So what works for one guy may not work for the other.
Stewart was looking for second off turn 4. Now that's looking back at Labonte from Stewart. Right in front of him is Mayfield, and Mayfield goes to the bottom to block.
He looked up in his mirror, and I'm sure his spotter told him, said, hey, he's running right on the bottom of the racetrack. That's the fastest way around here. Of course, it depends on how you have your race car set up.
It'll take more than that to discourage that kid in that number 20 there. They call him Tony the Tiger in the open wheels, and you'll see why in just a second. He really, really drives the car 100% from the green flag to the checker.
Ralph Shaheen.
Mike, when it comes to fuel economy, well, there's one reason why there's a big difference between what Tony Stewart gets and his teammate Bobby Labonte. Bobby Labonte is considered the better fuel mileage driver on the Joe Gibbs team. he uses his right foot only on the pedals. That means when he goes to brake, he uses his right foot to brake as well. Tony uses his left foot on the brake and his right foot only on the gas, so he's a little bit harder on both pedals.
Riding with him, that's Tony Stewart. Right up the tailpipe of Jeremy Mayfield.
And he gets that inside groove. You can see much quicker on the bottom part of the racetrack there. Now he'll pay the price as they start off, but he slides her right up there like you said, Ned, and he took the spot away.
In the last 10 laps, Stewart has gained a full second on Ricky Rudd and passed the second and third place cars. Further back.
Oh, Earnhardt almost got in the outside wall there. The 3-car got very sideways as he was trying to get off the corner. The back just stepped out on him.
And even with all that, buddy, he's passing cars.
Oh, yeah, that didn't matter to him. He drove all his life that way. It wouldn't change today.
Ralph?
Well, Mike, it's interesting that the rear end would step out on Dale Earnhardt because he's been complaining on the radio about a severe push, and I do mean severe, which means when he goes into the corner and turns the wheel to the left, instead of the car turning left, it tends to push up the hill. So he must really be making some serious corrections inside the cockpit of the car to get that rear end to step out on him.
Well, what happened there, he's in huge traffic there, and I think he moved to the right real quick, and he snapped the wheel, and it just threw the back of the car out.
Sterling Marlin moved under him, but can't complete that pass.
41
Page on the left of your screen. Earnhardt in the high groove.
You said that right. He's 4 stories high in the corner there. He's right up there just about at the edge of the what we call the groove. That's the darker part of the racetrack. The gray part up there hadn't been used.
This battle is for 14th on back. Terry Labonte drops to the low side to try Earnhardt.
Labonte has made a good move towards the front. Terry in the car number 5. He took a provisional to get in the field.
Past champions side by side, and neither one really has a toe off of LePage.
No, and Sterling, the car just behind him, is not close enough to really help either car.
Boy, second place off turn 4, almost got together. Stewart and Mayfield very nearly traded paint up in turn 4. They were side by side, and Stewart had to lift out of it. Maybe wreck them both. Here he goes again.
He gets a run off the corner down on the inside, but as we pointed out, that outside groove, buddy, he has that momentum. Mayfield does, pulls back out in front of us once again.
Yeah, and his teammate can't help him because he can't run down there where Tony Stewart does.
Right behind them, Jeff Gordon. Well, Stewart's not about to give it up.
Oh, there's that slide jump.
Yeah.
Put her right up there in front of him.
I'm going to tell you right now, he could go bear hunting with a switch. I've never seen anybody with he makes moves on the racetrack every once in a while. I think it amazes his own self, you know.
Cutting it that close, Zippy better remind him that Pontiac's got an extra 5 inches of muscle back there. With the rule change, it's 5 inches longer than it was a couple of weeks ago. And there wasn't 5 inches between those cars when he slid up a groove in front of Jeremy Mayfield.
I've seen him do it without fenders at all on his sprint car, so that's nothing new for him. He's used to knowing where his car is at on the racetrack.
There's Joe Nemechek in 33 ahead of Mike Skinner. Here's our Fritos onboard telemetry, speed, and engine RPM.
Joe Nemechek last week in Dover had a 3rd place or better car all day long and got caught on he made a pit stop and the caution came out just a few laps later. But he's really improved his
Bill Elliott, excuse me, buddy. Bill Elliott has dropped off of the lead pack and onto pit road.
And this is an unscheduled stop, Mike. It's not time for him to be coming into the pits now.
Ralph?
Mike, we're down here in Bill Elliott's pit, waiting for the 94 to make its way down pit road. The crew is waiting as well up on the wall with tires in hand, ready to service him as he makes his stop. Andy Thurman goes to work on the fronts. Jim Pullman changing the rears. Nothing being said over the radios as to potential problems or any major changes to the car. Fairly routine service as they complete the 4-tire stop, fill him up with fuel, and send him back on his way.
Good stop, 16.7, but Elliott loses a lap to the race leader. 55-mile-an-hour speed limit on pit road, plus the time he was stopped for service. So Elliott, 4-time winner of this race, goes a lap down as we approach 100 miles. Ricky Rudd, the leader, Tony Stewart, Jeremy Mayfield, Bobby Labonte.
This CBS Sports Race Summary is sponsored by Nextel. How business gets done.
50 laps have been completed, 100 miles, 3 leaders thus far. They swapped the lead a little, not nearly as much as the record would indicate from the past. It's getting pretty good out there. Just one caution when Bobby Hamilton slammed the wall up here in turn 4. Jerry Glanville impressed with that run by Mayfield, and you say you think he's got the right combination for today's race.
Absolutely. When I talked to Jeremy Mayfield the last 2 days, he said, we can win this race. And he's the only driver I know. He never mentioned the motor. He said, we have the right aero design. Our fenders, our C-post. He said, we can cut through the air as good as anybody here.
And that's just what he's doing right now. Mayfield, the winner at Fontana, California, for the lead. Here's Rudd coming back on the inside as they head down that long back straightaway.
I think what people have to understand is the motors are so close. If you can get the right quarter panel, if you look at behind his rear wheels, he's got those fenders tucked under there, and he said, we're going to be fast.
Tony Stewart hangs right onto them, and let's go back topside with Mike Joy.
Ken, I think what put Mayfield right up there was that Stewart and Rudd got together 2 laps ago off turn 4.
You're exactly right, and that's what happened. The two of them made a little contact there, and of course, Jeremy Mayfield had a huge run. That even brought Jeff Gordon into the fray here. He's caught the front bunch now, along with Bobby Labonte.
Dale Jarrett's moved up to 6th. Rusty Wallace has faded to 7th. Behind Mayfield, Stewart, Rudd, Bobby Labonte, and Jeff Gordon. Let's go to Bill Stevens.
Mike, about 10 laps ago, Jeremy Mayfield was telling his crew chief, Peter Suspenzo, the car was really tight when Tony Stewart was passing him down low. Peter was saying to him, move down low, move down low. Jeremy said, I can't. The car won't move down low. I could lose it. Then the car started to improve, and just now when he took the lead, he used his head. He went low, but used lapped traffic to draft to keep the car stable so he could move to the front.
Great move for Mayfield, who goes on point against Stewart, who's running in his 3rd Michigan NASCAR Winston Cup race, and Rudd in his 47th straight Winston Cup race at Michigan. Leads all drivers in that category.
I think these guys can see right behind the grandstand as they start into turn 3. There's some real black clouds moving in, and they're stepping it up now.
A little further back in the field at 20th position. Matt Kenseth takes that from Michael Waltrip, number 7, and Kenny Irwin, 42. Just in front of them, Jimmy Spencer. What a move for Spencer. He started tail end and has moved to 17th. And here are those dark clouds coming from the south. Thunderstorms on the way.
Boy, I hope they just go right on by. They look like you may go skirting by turn 4 there. We certainly hope so.
57 laps are complete. 100 laps is halfway, and we would have a complete race if we pass that point.
Still Elliott. He's a lap down.
Well, everyone came in at the lap 18 caution for Bobby Hamilton, so to get to halfway, there will have to be at least one more pit stop. Dick Berggren?
And when that pit stop happens, Bobby Labonte has asked his crew to change the track bar. The car is pushing. They are concerned about the right front on that automobile. And Jimmy Makar has just told his driver, step it up. The rain is coming. So he's got an ill-handling car. He's supposed to go faster with it. Wow.
Remember, Labonte is the point leader and pole sitter, and you saw those dark clouds from the onboard camera.
Yeah, drivers see that too. They're not just looking at the racetrack. They're pretty aware of everything. And too, when that crew chief tells you it's on the way, you listen.
But it isn't going to do him a whole lot of good right now until you get to the halfway point.
No, exactly. Well, they're starting to race all over this racetrack right now. I told you the first part of the show that they would be trying the bottom part of the racetrack, the middle part, and the top. Well, the cars that were running on the bottom of the racetrack a while ago, now they're up very high on the racetrack, just trying to find somewhere that the cars grip well.
And the only exception to that is right up at the front, Tony Stewart, who closes up on Mayfield with that low run and takes a car length out of his lead. Back to the stripe. 60 laps, 120 miles. Mayfield, Stewart, Rudd, Bobby Labonte, Gordon, and Dale Jarrett. Now 9 seconds off the lead, but he's beginning to close a bit.
Well, they had a lot of cars to come through, and took him a while to get around John Andretti and Rusty Wallace and Robert Presley, who was running in the pack there. But once he got by them, Jarrett was able to pull away.
Let's go a little further back to 11th place. Earnhardt, or is it Marlin? Or will it be Gordon by the time they get to the end of the straightaway? That's the fun thing about this. You just don't know. All right, Earnhardt holding 11th. Jeremy Mayfield, the leader at 60 laps.
Tony Stewart's been right.
Well, the spotters atop the grandstand have been busy, half looking at the racetrack, half looking over their shoulders at the weather. 65 complete, 35 laps to halfway, and this lead battle's been a tremendous one, but they'll all have to pit in the next 4 to 6 laps for fuel.
Stewart finally gets the run. He has worked so hard for that pass, but he finally was able to make it.
But can he keep it, Ned?
Here comes Jeremy back on the bottom. He took the lower side, but it looks like he's slowing down to come in the pits.
He is headed for pit road, as Mike said, in the next 4 to 6 laps, and it's a little bit earlier for him. Johnny Benson is on pit road.
And Joe Nemechek pitted while we were in commercial, the first of the lead lap drivers to make a scheduled stop.
55 miles an hour down pit road. Well, it takes forever, it seems like, sitting behind the wheel for that car to get to his pits. Let's go to the pits and Bill Stevens.
Fuel. Jeremy Mayfield taking 4 tires, 2 cans of fuel, air pressure adjustment to try to correct the push condition in the car. Jeremy says it's not that bad now, it's actually got better, and he's away.
So now Mayfield and team will have to hold their breath, make sure caution doesn't come out before the rest of the lead lap cars cycle through pit stops, or the Thunderstorms advance over the Speedway.
You can see Tony Stewart going by, though, putting him a lap down. Right now, you wouldn't want to see any rain if you'd just made that pit stop, because it may, get clear again, and he'd be a lap down.
Earnhardt is in, and Robbie Gordon locks up the rear brake, trying to get down to that 55-mile-an-hour speed. These are green flag scheduled pit stops.
One thing you do not want to do is run out of gas on this racetrack, or if you run out just past the pit road, it's a long, long way back, 2 miles back here coasting. You don't get there very quickly.
Michael Walterson, Jerry Nadeau, Kenny Irwin, Rick Bass, and Wally Donovan. All 4 tire stops. And 22 gallons of fuel. Dale Jarrett in the pit lane, and Jeff Burton, Ward Burton, and Jimmy Smith. Watching overhead, Irwin stop. Left side, there's that window film Buddy spoke of being torn away. 16.7 second stop for Earnhardt, a good one. And here's Mike Skinner making the stop. Dale Jarrett's crew and Ward Burton. And the leaders are in. Here's Stewart leading Bobby Labonte and Ricky Rudd in, leaving Jeff Gordon on the Speedway with the race lead.
That's to get 5 bonus points. Gordon stayed out there 1 more lap, get those 5 bonus points. I suspect he'll come in the next time. Plus the fact that we've been a little bit crowded on pit road with all those others coming in.
Dick Berggren.
Bobby Labonte on pit road. They're going to change the track bar 1/4 inch. Man in the back just had the wrench in there. This is a good pit stop so far. This crew has been together since 1997. They are one of the most experienced and best crews in the Winston Cup circuit. And under 15 seconds, they're out.
Norman Conservizu puts the gas in for Ricky Rudd. No chassis changes to this car. This is the same car that he drove to a 4th place finish at Fontana earlier this year, Mike. That's the only other time this car's been in competition.
And Gordon surrenders the lead to come on to pit road. There's Rusty Wallace coming out along with John Andretti and Robert Presley. Jeff Gordon into his pit box. Same song next verse. 4 tires and fuel. And remember now, those right side tires that come off have to be rolled back to the pit wall, or at least halfway across the pit toward the wall before that car can leave. And that's done as the tire carrier comes around to get the left side tires. He brings the used tires back to the wall with him. 70 laps. Elliott Sadler is in now. The Melling number 9 for Stacy Compton is in, and so is Chad Little, Scott Pruitt, and Dale Earnhardt Jr. Would you believe, Ned, after 13 races, that a rookie would be the circuit's only 2-race winner?
No.
No way.
Even if his name is Earnhardt,
That's
still
right.
would be hard to believe.
Jeffrey Bodine's made a stop as you look from Elliott Sadler's car. Left side tires going on. Mark Martin comes in. And Mike Bliss. And Compton's car has been pushed behind the wall. Stacy Compton.
Mark Martin getting 4 tires as everybody else does. You can change 4 tires almost as quickly as you can put in a tank of fuel when the tank is almost empty.
Exactly right. You notice he didn't have a tear-off shield on his. A lot of guys don't like those things on the windshield because they say it distorts their vision. So they just clean the windshield and he's back underway.
17-second stop for Martin. RV's onboard cam. Matt Kenseth is in. One of 2 rookies to win this year. See the brooms at work. The drivers are mainly sweeping those warm lug nuts that came off the car, sweeping them back, and any other little bits of rubber or other debris. And you see the heat that's coming out of that right front hub.
Yeah, that's the brakes where you use them so hard getting in.
17.4 for Kenseth. Here's another of the Jack Roush cars, Kevin LePage.
He had taken over the lead. And Ken Schrader comes down pit road right behind him. Schrader had moved up to second.
And that should just about complete the cycle of pit stops under green. Here's Ken Schrader. A little different look as they mix the sponsors up on that car this week. And LePage right behind him, pulls out. And so without incident, we cycle through a complete green flag pit stop sequence. 17-second stop for LePage. Jeremy Mayfield resumes the lead over Bobby Labonte. Jeff Gordon now third.
And Tony Stewart must have been the big loser on that round of green flag pit stops. He just dropped back to the 6th position. He was battling for the lead and had taken the lead right before they made these pit stops.
We saw his, Ned. He did not appear to have a bad stop.
So it must have been getting in and out or something that cost him.
That, you know, they do a lot of practice, and the lead drivers getting in and out of the pits. Most of the road racers do very, very well, though, getting in and out of the pits.
Right now, he is running about 15 seconds behind Jeremy Mayfield.
Wow. Actually, the big winner on this round of green flag pit stops is Bill Elliott. Elliott had to stop early for tires, and this puts him back within the sequence so that he is now back on the lead lap and in 8th place. Should a caution flag come out before Elliott needs fuel, he'll be caught right back up with the leader.
Yes.
There's something had to happen to Tony Stewart. He's not that bad getting in and out of the pits. To be 15 seconds back of all the cars he's running with.
Super 8 cam on board Bill Elliott, who is now the 8th place car, chasing Jeff Burton.
Now you see him going down the racetrack. He's trying to pick up the draft on the cars. When they're running nose to tail, they stay up against the wall. But when the car in front of you is that far ahead and he moves down the racetrack, you follow him to pick up the draft down the straightaway.
And that car ahead is Jeff Burton, the 7th place car. "75 laps complete here at Michigan Speedway. 100 gets us to halfway. 200 laps, 400 miles is the advertised distance. Jeremy Mayfield, the leader. Tony Stewart and Ricky Rudd swapped the lead early on, as did Bobby Labonte. But now we've had 2 rounds of pit stops. The first under caution when Bobby Hamilton smacked the wall hard at turn 4. He is okay. The car is out of the race. 30 cars remain on the lead lap as we look at 2nd place Bobby Labonte on the left. And 3rd place Jeff Gordon to the right behind Jeremy Mayfield. Ricky Rudd, the outside pole sitter, starting his 47th consecutive Michigan race. He is back in the 4th place behind Chad Little's.
And he lost a little ground on that pit stop as well. He's now running about 8 seconds behind the leader, Jeremy Mayfield.
Here's our John Deere cam on board Chad Little, who is now 2 laps. Check that 1 lap off the lead pace. .23 laps to halfway. There's Rudd, again, the only driver in the top 10 in points, looking for victory lane this year still.
He's been very consistent, though. He's been right up in the top 5 for the last few races, and he told me he thinks the team now is in position to win.
These cars are battling for position 2 lap down for 36th place. Wally Dallenbach and Ed Barrier in the 90. Here's Dale Jarrett, the 5th place car, the defending race champion.
Elliott Sadler there in the 21. Horrendous crash here for those who just joined us yesterday on the front straightaway. About 195 miles an hour. Turned over 7 or 8 times down the straightaway.
I'll tell you, there's a rabbit missing a foot.
You bet on that.
It's in his pocket. Let's have a look at Sadler's wrenchhead.com telemetry. RPM on the left, speed on the right.
7,500. He starts down the straightaway. That'll go right on past 8,000. About 185, 90. Right at 190, just a little over 195 miles an hour down at the end of the straightaway there.
Almost 200 when he finally lifted. And that's into a headwind going down into turn 1, which is the fastest part of the racetrack. Has got a little bit of a tailwind down the backstretch. Let's see how he does here.
Look at that hot dog wrapper. He's getting a free ride there right on the middle part of the nose of that car. It hit right there on the part that you put the pin through to hold the hood down on.
Sadler carrying our Citgo onboard camera moves past Ed Barrier, and that is for position. That's 37. Well, let's go back up to 2nd place, where Bobby Labonte is trying to hold off the advances of the 24 of Jeff Gordon.
Gordon has to feel good, other than Talladega, where he made some bold moves to win the race down there. This is the most solid run he's had all year long.
A little further back at 9th place, Dale Earnhardt battling Robert Presley and giving over that position. CBS Sports coverage of the Kmart 400 continues after this message and a word from your CBS station.
CBS Sports presentation of the 2000 Kmart 400 is sponsored by Route 66. Jeans, clothes, it's not Main Street. Only at Kmart. Ford F-Series. The best-selling trucks are built Ford tough. And by Pennzoil with Pure Base. Made for the way you drive. Stop, go, Pennzoil.
Tonight on CBS, 60 Minutes. Should an 11-year-old who shot and killed a man be tried as a juvenile or as an adult who could go to prison for life? At 60 Minutes, followed by a new, powerful, touched by an angel, Sybil Shepherd in the CBS Sunday movie, all tonight on CBS. Jeff Gordon has come to pit lane.
A scheduled pit stop for him. He was battling for 2nd place. Let's go to Dick Berggren.
Well, he radioed to his crew just a moment ago, Mike, and said the right rear is going down. This crew is so disenchanted. They really thought they were going to win today. This guy has won here. He's got 5 seconds, 3/3, and a great race car. But the right rear tire has gone flat. This is an unscheduled pit stop. It will be extremely costly for Jeff Gordon. All clear, and there he goes for the 15.9 seconds. Good stop. Still time. Mike?
Well, precautionary to change all 4 tires in case it wasn't the right rear, but it cost him a lap.
Well, it did. It's impossible to make a pit stop here, even though it's taken them 40 to 41 seconds to go around here at full speed till you slow down and make that 16-second pit stop on the pit road, and as slow as you have to run on pit road, then you go a lap down. That's all there is to it. Now, if it goes green, everybody else has to stop. Similar situation to Bill Elliott, well, then he could get back in the cycle if the brakes fall his way.
If they only change the 2 tires, they only save about 6 seconds. And if they're wrong, it's a much bigger problem.
Yeah, you don't ever want to just take on 2, especially when you have to make up as much ground as he has to make up. He needs everything 100%.
Well, we talked this weekend about how this might not be a race of who has the fastest cars, but of who has the least individual problems and make the least mistakes. Things are getting so close in this series that you need a perfect day. to get to victory lane.
You do. And certainly right now, Jeremy Mayfield is having the perfect day because he's running out front all by himself, about 5 seconds ahead of Bobby Labonte.
87 laps complete. Let's check with Ken Squier.
Indeed, Mayfield continues to be the story. Let's get an overview from Jerry Glanville of what you've seen so far in this Kmart 400.
Well, I think, again, when you talk to a driver and the driver never mentions the motor, he says, I think I can win this, coach, because of the air. And we watch him make the pass right there. That car's cutting through the air as good as any car out there.
Some time ago, Jeremy Mayfield said to the press, he said, I feel that I'm one that really wants to run, not just take up a spot in the field. I don't want to be there if it's just running around. This game is all about winning. And that's what Mayfield is trying to do right now for the second time this year. Let's join Ralph Shaheen.
Well, Greg Zipadelli is a crew chief for Tony Stewart. Greg, you guys were very fast early on, then you slipped back a little bit. What's wrong with the 20 car?
The car's good. Home Depot Pontiac's run good from the drop of the green. We just had a bad pit stop. Give up about 5-6 seconds here. Boys have done a good job lately. We'll just have to rebound back from it here. Hopefully, we'll be able to overcome this little bit of a problem. But lap times are real good. The car's starting to come around, so we'll just keep plugging away.
And Mike, we heard Tony also saying he was unsure of whether the car wanted to be tight or loose at times, so they're working on getting that car right for Tony.
Well, Zippy didn't sound like a fellow who's too worried.
No, he said the car was coming back, and that's a good thing. If you have a car that on long runs gets better and better, and that's what Tony Stewart has.
We are 10 laps from halfway. Jeremy Mayfield's Ford out in front of Bobby Labonte's Pontiac. Ricky Rudd's Ford, the Ford of Dale Jarrett, and the Pontiac of Tony Stewart are the top 5. First Chevrolet in the race is Dale Earnhardt back in 8th place.
And shouldn't be that big of a surprise that Jeremy Mayfield is running the way that he is. Here's a good battle on the racetrack.
8th place, Earnhardt and Wallace.
We've seen those two battle lots of times over the years. But what I started to say about Mayfield, he's one of the 12 winners so far this year, and his win came at the California Speedway. 2-mile racetrack, patterned after this racetrack right here. He had them, well, Matt Kenseth was awfully strong that day also, but nevertheless, Mayfield won the race, and so I'm sure they came here with a similar setup.
Here's the 10th place battle, Ned, and it's the point-standing runner-up, Ward Burton. Bill Davis Pontiac, 42, and Richard Petty's Pontiac, John Andretti, 43.
And Ed Berrier in the 90 there, although he's back in the field, he's running quite well.
1 lap down is Berrier in the 90 car. Stacey Compton's back in the race, the Melling car. Spent some time in the garage. Mark Melling announced yesterday that they would be the 4th Dodge-supported team in the year 2001. I think they'll give their number 9 to Bill Elliott, who made it famous. They will be number 92, Team 9, second time around is the logic, and Compton will be the driver. There's Elliott moving on Kenny Wallace. And we'll check Frito's telemetry on board Rick Mast in the number 14.
Jeffrey Bodine in the black number 60 pulling up on the inside of Mast as Kenny Irwin pulls up on the inside of Kyle Petty. So good racing going on here back in the field.
Now they're 8,300 RPM at the end of the back stretch. We'd expect more at the end of the front stretch.
Well, Mast had to roll out. Right now he's got a pretty good run, but he can't really run down in the corner. He ran up on the corner just in front of him. He backed off a little bit. I would expect him to run a little quicker here. 195 right down into the corner there.
Almost 300 RPM more carried down the front stretch than down the back straight.
Yeah, he ran up on his car pretty quick over there and had to check up a little bit. Let's see what he does now that he has no one in front of him. Well, we'll look later.
10th place battle. And you see the Ward Burton and John Andretti have caught Rusty Wallace. That makes Burton moving up to 9th. And Wallace trying to hold Andretti back at 10th place. Jeremy Mayfield is your leader from Bobby Labonte and Ricky Rudd. We're 5 laps to halfway. Welcome back to the Kmart 400 live on CBS from Michigan Speedway, where in just 3 laps it'll be halfway. And then the eyes to the sky from all around this place will be looking for raindrops. We'll have an official race here in just 3 laps. A concern on the face of these crews, and look at that sky overhead. That is dark.
It is that.
Thunderstorms on the way, and this man, Jeremy Mayfield, until today had only led 1 lap in the June race at Michigan, that in 1997, and now he's out front of Bobby Labonte by 6.5 seconds. It's another 3.5 seconds back to Ricky Rudd in third as you ride with Labonte. And the leader's out there somewhere.
You can see him going in the corner, way up there.
A couple of lap cars separating the leader from Bobby Labonte. Then Ricky Rudd. Dale Jarrett's moved up to fourth. Tony Stewart's in fifth. Sixth is Jeff Burton. Seventh, Robert Presley. Eighth, Dale Earnhardt. Ninth is Ward Burton. And 10th, John Andretti. Ward Burton continues to work on Earnhardt.
Earnhardt not getting a great run up out of the corner as Burton works all over the back of him there in the 22 car. Ward needs to get up there. He's much in the points race right now, and he needs to get right on up there. He's second, as a matter of fact.
And Earnhardt's third. So they both better get together and get going. What do you think Earnhardt's chances are of that 8th championship?
Boy, he thinks he's got a real good chance at it, and I have to agree with him.
Terrible out here.
We hear the guys talking right now. They're telling him.
Halfway. Just be careful. Keep digging.
There's the crossed flags that everyone today hoped to see. It means this race will be completed today. Even if the rains come, the severity of a shower would determine whether we try to dry the track and wait it out.
And Mike, there's some raindrops falling here on our window just as they got that halfway mark.
Drivers leading at halfway have won about 25% of these races, and Bill Elliott will fall off the lead lap as he comes to pit road.
Boy, he wanted to stay out there hoping that rain would come down if it was going to right away, but he had no choice. I mean, he was running low in fuel and had to come in.
Anytime you see it on that camera, it's even more on the windshields of these race cars. And let me explain, they don't run in the rain with Winston Cup cars if you're a first-time viewer because they have a slick surface on the tire. It does not have, it's not grooved or anything to repel water, so it's very slick on wet paper.
Elliott made an unscheduled pit stop earlier. That's why he had to come in. He's exhausted his 22-gallon fuel load and had to pit or risk running out of gas. So again, he will go at least one lap down to the race leader.
He gets out as quickly as he can, but yes, you're right. He'll be a lap down.
So Ned, that'll leave us 19 cars on the lead lap. The two rookies, Kenseth and Earnhardt Jr., are on the tail end of the lead lap behind Johnny Benson, and Jr. is about to go a lap down.
He is about to go a lap down as Jeremy Mayfield pulls up on him, goes on the outside, and puts the 19th place car one lap down.
Certainly not making any excuses for Dale Earnhardt Jr., but he has been a sick pup all week. And the first thing he told me, he said, I'll be lucky if I make it all the way. Hanging in there well, but he's a lap down now.
Watching from the Bud cam, as you see a few little raindrop splatters on the camera lens. Now, that's not enough rain for these tires not to stick to the racetrack.
No,
not yet.
It's what we saw on the window here has gone away now, and
there's a theory. A few years ago at Indianapolis, there was rain everywhere, but once they started the race, it never rained again on the racetrack. And there's a theory that these cars whistling around this racetrack and generating heat create a vortex that the rain clouds seem to move on by, and that one big dark one did just that. It went around this track when it was headed right over it, so maybe it works.
Maybe it does, but they stir up a lot of air out here. So
No, guys, I'm not going to buy that. I'm going to tell you, I was leading the race at Pocono one time, and it started raining, and I hit the wall so many times. There was a guy in the grandstand jumped out and started running to help me. He thought I starved to death before I quit hitting the wall. So let me tell you, that don't work. It can rain.
We're at 104 laps. Mayfield now 6.6 seconds ahead of Labonte. No change there. 10.7 seconds off the lead. Ricky Rudd's Ford. And Dale Jarrett 3 seconds back of Rudd. My favorite Jeremy Mayfield quote ever when he was describing Bristol, Tennessee, that high bank 5/8 mile. And he says, it's kind of like putting the wash in the clothes dryer. You tumble around, you get real hot, and by the end of the day, somebody's lost a sock or two.
Well, Matt Kenseth just in front of him is fixing to go a lap down, too. Young guy's not faring too well today. In California, he was the guy to beat, but today, just a little bit off on his setup.
Kenseth in that car owned by Jack Roush and Mark Martin. Where's the boss today? Here's Mark Martin, our Visa cam. On board 21st right now. Mark Martin, he has gone a lap down.
Boy, and it goes back a while since he's had a top 5. I mean, it's just not, those past few races hadn't been like Mark Martin. He's had some bad luck this year.
Chad Little is in for a stop. Going to be 4 tires for his Ford. That'll get him off cycle as well, but Little was already a lap down. "55 miles an hour down pit road."
Here's the third place car, Ricky Rudd.
Outside. Just give you room. You're clear.
So Rudd trying to advance on that 11-second deficit to Jeremy Mayfield, the race leader, with Bobby Labonte in second, Rudd in third, and Dale Jarrett fourth. Monday on CBS begins with the King of Queens, and then a special episode of Becker, followed by Monday's #1 comedy, Everybody Loves Raymond, then Ted Danson as Becker, and a dramatic 48 Hours mystery. It's all Monday on CBS. Coming up next, the Senior Tour on CBS with all the action from the Kemper Lakes Golf Club as play continues at the SBC Senior Open. Tom Kite has a 1-stroke lead after 2 rounds. 111 laps complete as we watch from the Goodyear blimp Spirit of Goodyear, providing aerial views of today's race. Goodyear, official supplier of tires for NASCAR Winston Cup racing. Jerry Nadeau has made a pit stop, and now Joe Nemechek is in at lap 112. There's Nemechek. And they'll each need 1 more stop if we can go the advertised 200-lap distance.
What? I'm beginning to believe you. I see a lot of rain around here, but I'm beginning to believe, hey, the noise may be keeping them awake.
Our Redshed.com telemetry on Joe Nemechek as he hits back up to speed. You see the 2 left side tires are below the yellow line. NASCAR reminded the drivers of that in the meeting this morning, that is a rule, that he stays there, and the leader, we're told, is on pit road. He is. Here's Mayfield.
He stopped earlier than the other drivers of the leaders. He stopped a couple of laps sooner than they did on their other pit stop. So he's coming towards you, Bill.
Ned, you're exactly right. They were planning on coming in on lap 114, and they pushed it up to this lap. They will do a very quick Ford tire and fuel pit stop. Jeremy says this car is next to perfect. He can now run low on the racetrack. He can hold his position. He told Peter Suspenzo that if they don't win this race, it's not because of that race car.
Mayfield away as Rick Mast and Jimmy Spencer come down the pit lane, and Johnny Benson makes a stop all here at lap 113.
Well, certainly there's no point unless you feel the rain is coming here real quick or something in stretching, because they can make it on 1 more pit stop after this without having to stretch the fuel mileage.
It's been a real battle for Tony Stewart. Just in front of him, Dale Jarrett's running up there. They've been going back and forth through traffic.
You're watching Johnny Benson stop, waving, motioning to the crew, get that windshield a little more clean so I can see. And Benson's away. Came within a handful of laps of winning at Daytona. And Dale Earnhardt Jr., who is a lap down, comes onto the pit lane. So we're on green flag pit stops once again. Jeffrey Bodine coming in with him. .85 laps to go. That would mean 1 more stop. Only car out of the race is Bobby Hamilton. Stacy Compton's had several trips to the garage, but come back out each time.
Making an adjustment to the right rear there. They're not pleased with the handling of the car of Dale Earnhardt Jr.
And it's Bobby Labonte now. Up there, Ricky Rudd was in that battle.
Rudd has dropped back now, and Jeff Gordon, after that unscheduled pit stop, is getting, I believe, back on the lead lap.
He's fighting very hard, as a matter of fact. He didn't quite get by Bobby Labonte. But he has the pressure tires. He should be able to make the lead.
There's Burton coming down pit road.
Just ahead of them, Mark Martin is trying to stay on the tail end of the lead lap.
Mark had gone a lap down to Jeremy Mayfield, but when Mayfield made a pit stop, that put him back on the lead lap.
Martin, a former winner of the June race at Michigan, is going to go a lap down. Dick?
Well, Jeff Burton has made his pit stop on pit road, Mike. The right side is all done. Tony Gilroy is doing the rear tires on that thing. This whole crew, except the jack man, works in the shop. Unusual in today's big league stock car racing.
As he goes out, Ricky Rudd comes in. Into Robert Yates, number 28.
Our Haviland onboard camera riding with Rudd. Burton stop under 16 seconds.
Dale Earnhardt comes in. Ward Burton comes in. Rusty Wallace. These are all scheduled pit stops. And Bobby Labonte about to peel off and come into the pits.
So Labonte will come in, and that would hand the lead to Dale Jarrett for the first time today. But Jarrett is also pitting, as is Tony Stewart. Bill?
Down here with the number 22, Mike, Ward Burton. They are making tire pressure changes to this car to try to correct a pushing condition, adding the fuel, and away he goes. An excellent pit stop.
Dick Berggren.
Bobby Labonte is in his pit stall. The other two pit stops, they have made major changes in the chassis, and sure enough, there goes the wrench in the back end again, trying to adjust it still a little bit more. The car, however, is better than it has been all day for Labonte, which is typical. They adjust him to be faster and faster.
This will be quite a group running together when they come out, because Labonte will have Jarrett and Stewart exiting the pits right behind him. Then a little further back, Michael Waltrip, Brett Bodine, Robert Presley, and Terry Labonte getting service.
Jarrett with a 15.58 second pit stop. Tony Stewart had a 16.1. So those guys in the pits are cranking out some pit stops.
This will give the lead to John Andretti next time he comes past. Ralph?
Mike, with Tony Stewart, they changed 4 tires, put in fuel, did a little bit of the air pressure on the tires, and also went up 1 round on the track bar. They're also keeping an eye on the temperatures of the car. Got a little bit hot near the end of that run, but Tony hadn't run with the fan on the entire run, so he switched on just at the end. They're going to wipe the grill off as well. They're not too worried. They think those temperatures will come right back down.
Thanks, Ralph. John Andretti surrenders the lead as he comes in for his pit stop. Dick Berggren?
He almost went over the line, Mike. The nose of that car, he stopped right at the yellow line. Had he gone over that, he would have had to have backed the car up, which under a green flag stop would have been absolutely disastrous. All in all, Andretti has a good stop.
Kenny Wallace is in. Dave Blaney, the rookie. Mike Skinner. Kyle Petty. All getting serviced at lap 119. This will give the lead back to Mayfield. And Matt Kenseth is shown as the second place car, but here Kenseth comes to pit road.
As Kyle Petty gets his service and headed out, Mike Skinner gets his service and headed back out onto the racetrack.
There's Kenseth coming to a stop. Kyle Petty rolls past. Windshield film off. 2 right side tires. First can of gas in, all in about 9 seconds. Another 7 or 8 seconds to put that second can of gas in and change the left side tires. Here is your leader, Jeremy Mayfield, now 6 seconds ahead of Jeff Gordon.
So Gordon has now, with all of the green flag pit stops, as we said, could happen that he would cycle right back in. Of course, now he's going to have to stop a lot quicker than the others the next time around. Here's Kyle Petty.
Mark Martin is in. Kyle Petty, yesterday afternoon, Ned, there's a fence that separates the driver's compound and then a roadway and then another fence in the fans. After practice is concluded, Kyle Petty was out there probably for an hour or more signing autographs and meeting with the fans. Something that's not seen all that often in these days of drivers' harried schedules and sponsor commitments, but he was out there meeting with the folks and signing just like his dad taught him. There's a look at him as he was out there posing for pictures, signing autographs, and you know what he's wearing? Adam Petty's hat with the 45 on the front.
I tell you, that says a lot for the man to do that after the grieving and what they've been through for the last couple of weeks after Adam's accident in New Hampshire that took his life.
You're exactly right, and he told everyone that he didn't think it was going to be certainly anything that was going to make him forget Adam at all, but he could cope with it. He thought if he got back to life.
And it was Richard Petty in that press conference in Charlotte that told everybody in racing, that's what we've got to do, is let's go and get on with it. Once again, it's the Pettys that to take racing eternity by the hand and tell them which direction to go in to get going and get on. It is Jeremy Mayfield, the leader. Jeff Gordon in second. Bobby Labonte in third. Here's your second place battle. Labonte closing in.
Well, Labonte has the fresher tires because he made a pit stop many laps after Gordon did. Should give him a little bit of an advantage. Although Gordon has run well here today.
Where it's going to show up is right now when he gets back in the throttle. You can see he makes the move to the bottom side and just goes right on by.
Our Circuit City onboard camera with Labonte, and here comes Gordon around the high side.
Handling pretty good down the straightaway, Gordon is, but when he hits the straightaway, just don't have that great grip.
Well, they'll keep battling for second, and we'll be back to see it. Mayfield is 8.3 seconds ahead of this battle for second place. Dale Jarrett is 3 seconds behind it.
This CBS Sports Race Summary is sponsored by Budweiser, the official beer of NASCAR. Hey, race fans, there's Bud's for you.
After 125 laps have been completed here at the 2-mile Michigan Speedway in this $2.3 million Kmart 400. See the lead changes 8 times, and rather 14 times among 8 leaders. A couple of cars have fallen out, and they're running about 6.5 miles per hour off that record that Dale Jarrett set a year ago at 173 miles per hour. That brought around by the one caution that we've had in the race when Bobby Hamilton hammered the wall. We watch those leaders coming by, and this is a battle for third that's developing right now. Jeff Gordon is the man of the moment, but Dale Jarrett, last year's winner, is definitely closing ground on him right there, Jerry.
I think the big difference for Dale Jarrett, that's a 2000 Taurus, and he dominated last year with that 1999 Taurus. And because of the rule changes and the new Chevrolet, it's different aerodynamics for both cars. One thing on this sequence here, Bill Elliott is on a different sequence in tire changes. He's crawled back to 13th, but Billy Elliott's in trouble unless there's a caution because he's slow when everybody else is fast because of his tire change sequence.
One more fuel stop to take them home today. And surprisingly, as Mike Joy was pointing out, the weather seems to be circumnavigating around this 2-mile track, Michael.
It's hard to believe, Ken, but we've seen it several times when there's thundercloud activity. It comes in here and somehow just manages to skirt the speedway. And there's a little sun on some of the windshields. There's a little blue sky here. Hard to believe the way we started the day. It's all blue sky in front of Jeremy Mayfield. He has a 7-second lead on Bobby Labonte. Dale Jarrett now to third over Jeff Gordon. And there's a look at Mayfield. Clear track in front of him, the whole length of the front straightaway. And Ed, as we said at the top of the show, Dale is not going to go and make this a boring race, but he is coming toward the front.
Well, his car is really moving right now. He and Tony Stewart came out of the pits together after their green flag pit stop, and DJ has just pulled away from Tony Stewart. He has been gaining on Jeremy Mayfield. He was about 12 seconds behind. He's cut it down now to about 10 seconds. So his car is on the move, but if anybody's thinking up the show today, it's Jeremy Mayfield.
Yes. Well, behind Jarrett and Jeff Gordon, Tony Stewart 15 seconds back. Ricky Rudd has fallen to 6th on the pit stops, running with Stewart, trying to work their way back to the front. And right now, Bill Elliott is the last car on the lead lap in 13th. 13 cars on the lead lap, and there are Stewart and Rudd, 5th and 6th place.
Boy, Rudd ran him down from quite a good distance back, and you can see much quicker getting into the corner.
And here are the 2 leading rookies battling, Kenseth and Earnhardt Jr. This is for 19th place, 1 lap back.
They've been together quite a bit today as we watch this battle here between Rudd passing Tony Stewart on the inside. And you're right, but he came from way back. He was about 4 or 5 seconds behind Tony Stewart. So Stewart's car with this set of tires on it is not running as well as it did before.
No, in the 28th there, he just goes right on by, and they'd be lucky if Tony Stewart can just hang on and draft with it.
They are 5th and 6th. Behind them is Jeff Burton, Dale Earnhardt, Robert Presley, Ward Burton, Rusty Wallace, John Andretti, and Bill Elliott on the lead lap. Let's go back to the rookies.
Looking back at Kenseth's car, the yellow one there, able to run pretty slow, and these guys are going at it right now. They have a point system going too. They want to win the Rookie of the Year, so they're battling not only to try to win as many races as they can this year, they want to win the Rookie of the Year also.
And that's a tough call because Earnhardt has 2 wins to Kenseth's 1, but Kenseth has more rookie points right now.
Because he's been more consistent in the races that Earnhardt was not up front. He had some DNFs and finished pretty far back. Mark Martin making an unscheduled pit stop as we look at this on the racetrack.
Looking back from Chad Little's car, he's not quite as good as Dale Earnhardt Jr. getting in the corner.
And Stewart and Ricky Rudd continue to battle there for 5th place. Here's Dick.
Mike, this is an unscheduled pit stop. They think they had a loose wheel on Mark Martin's car, and that's kind of the perfect ending for an unhappy weekend. They have not been happy with his car since they unloaded it, and they changed it all sorts of things on the car. It was the left rear that had been loose on Mark Martin's car.
And Jeff Gordon is in. Now this would be scheduled because he was off the pit stop cycle. So it's a scheduled stop for Jeff Gordon at lap 135, and he will again fall off of the lead lap.
Mike, I've just been doing a little bit of calculating, was about to say that he's not going to be able to make it on one more pit stop. He can't go from here to the end if this thing should go green. So he's going to go a lap down on this pit stop. Dick?
Jeff Gordon is in now. They had hoped that they were going to get a caution flag so that they could pit with everybody else, but that just did not happen. So Gordon is still paying the price for that tire problem he had earlier today when he had to make an unscheduled pit stop. He remains out of sequence.
So at lap 136 of 200, Jeremy Mayfield leads Bobby Labonte by 7 seconds. Dale Jarrett remains 10 seconds off the lead. Tony Stewart and Ricky Rudd are 16 seconds back of this man, Kentucky's Jeremy Mayfield. CBS Sports coverage of the Kmart 400 continues after this message and a word from your CBS station.
CBS Sports presentation of the 2000 Kmart 400 is sponsored by Conseco. John Deere, nothing runs like a deer. And by Goodyear, #1 in tires.
140 laps complete here at Michigan Speedway. Jeremy Mayfield remains out front. For latest standings and in-depth NASCAR coverage, click on racing at cbs.sportsline.com or on AOL, it's keyword CBS Sportsline. July 1st, the Hot Wheels of NASCAR return to Daytona under the lights for the Pepsi 400. Dale Jarrett's the defending race champion. You'll see it in prime time here on CBS Sports. The preview show at 5 p.m. Eastern and at 8 p.m. live flag-to-flag coverage of the Pepsi 400. Here in Michigan, fans listening in to their favorite drivers and crews and spotters.
Let me tell you, if you've never done that, get a scanner one race and listen. You won't believe it.
We're at 141 laps, 59 to go. And 2 laps ago, Tony Stewart may have brushed the wall because his next lap speed was a very gingerly 172, and they've been running 176 or 7.
Ned, I'm not sure whether he hit the wall or not, but he was definitely flirting with it.
He was awfully close to it, and his lap speeds have fallen off. He and Rudd were battling there for position a little while ago. Now he's dropped off a couple of seconds behind Rudd.
He's within 2 seconds of falling into the clutches of 6th place Jeff Burton. Upper left, you see Jeff Gordon picked up a spot last lap, so his position is shown in green. If it's shown in red, that's a driver who lost a position last time by.
Well, what Jeff Gordon's got to hope for right now, because he is out of sequence, is everybody makes their pit stop, the last stop, and then a caution comes out and puts him back in there where he can pick up tires and get back in sequence with everybody.
Well, we talked about the weather here this afternoon, buddy, and there is another dark cloud coming up here behind the grandstand.
Yeah.
So here's a look at Gordon, who was dropped off the lead lap to 21st position. Bill Stevens?
Mike, Jeremy Mayfield's run up front has not been without its element of drama today. For a while, he lost 3rd gear. Then he lost radio contact with the crew. They got that corrected. And now the issue of fuel mileage. Of all the drivers out there, Jeremy may be the one who's been victimized most by running out of fuel. He told me this morning 9 or 10 times he has lost a race because of it. They are already beginning to calculate what they will need to get to the checkered flag under power. To Dick Berger.
Well, Mike Joy, a few minutes ago, you guys were talking about what you hear on the radio scanners. We listen to them down here on pit road, and usually we hear about push and loosen, suspension, and that sort of thing. Today, it sounds like an extended weather report. The crews are all talking back and forth about how hard to run, what strategies they should use, and Bobby Labonte's crew just told him that they think in 20 minutes it's going to rain here. Labonte is in second spot right now. To Ralph.
Well, Dick, Tony Stewart's car did not hit the wall. He didn't scrape the wall either, but the car has gotten very loose on them. They had a tire that had equalized on the last run, apparently, and now the car has gotten very loose with the adjustments they had made, and Tony is just fighting the race car, but he has not made contact with the wall.
Well, with 55 laps to go, we've talked about how this could be a fuel mileage race. If this last stop is made under green, some drivers may be able to come in a little later as Dale Jarrett drops to the bottom of the racetrack chasing number 18 Bobby Labonte, and some drivers may need to add less fuel to get to the finish, and that may mean a little bit of a quicker pit stop. It all adds up.
Boy, I tell you, it's coming down to just what you can do. Somebody that can do is doing it right now, the 88 of Dale Jarrett. If he was up there with Mayfield right now, his lap times are right up there with Mayfield. He's catching Bobby Labonte every lap, about 2 car lengths.
About 10 laps ago, he was almost 3 seconds behind Bobby and running down. Of course, as we've said so many times, catching somebody and passing them is 2 different things.
He has, though, Ned, only gained about 1 second on the race leader. Mayfield continues to lap this track at 177 miles an hour.
Exactly.
So it's really Labonte who's fallen back into the clutches of Jarrett.
Yeah, but when you say only a second, that's almost a football field when you're running the 200 miles an hour.
Yeah, but when you're 10 seconds behind, or a little over 9 right now, that second doesn't make a great deal of difference.
Well, there's 54 laps and 1 pit stop at least yet to go. Still anybody's race at Michigan. Mayfield leading Bobby Labonte, Jarrett, Rudd, and Stewart. Here at Michigan Speedway, it's like the track is a fry pan and somebody's just put the lid on it. Look at that storm cloud overhead, and it is putting some rain down on the speedway. We are under the caution flag for only the 2nd time in a row, and the rain is coming from the north. It's coming from turns 3 and 4.
Yeah, it's coming from 1 and 2 also, Mike, because I look out my window over here, it is pouring.
So much for the theory about noise keeping the clouds
the noise
away.
And the heat. It worked for a while, but the folks up in turns 3 and 4 were wet before the drivers and cars, and now it is just pelting. The Speedway and our CBS cameramen are also running for cover. Neil McCaffrey, who's been on every CBS race telecast since we first did Daytona in '79. And Neil is going to lose the Extreme Games weather gear putting on contest. The flags are straight out and the rain is pouring down on this speedway. They'll red flag it.
Wow.
And bring the cars to a safe halt. Now the one man is smiling under this rain, and that is Bill Elliott. You're on board his camera right now, and the caution flag, only the 2nd today, allowed Elliott to stay on the lead lap, and that'll be a big help if we can get this race restarted.
He got by Jeremy Mayfield right at the flag and got that lap back.
But Jeremy Mayfield wouldn't mind seeing it continue to rain. He'd have the victory. Dale Jarrett just passed Bobby Labonte on the lap before the caution came out for 2nd place.
Ned, they're going to put the red flag out. I'll guarantee you. It's raining so hard you can't see right now, and these cars get really wicked with slick tires as you run around there with it raining hard as it is.
And the pit crews are putting down tarps to try to keep the pit box where the car stops as dry as possible, and right now that is a futile gesture.
Boy, it's a gray out. We can't even see the front straightaway, and we're right on it.
It's just as if somebody turned on the faucet and threw a bucket of water from turns 3 and 4 all the way down this racetrack.
Well, when it came, it teased us a little bit with some sprinkles, and then when it came, man, the bottom dropped out.
I hate to tell you guys, but I'm the only one up here with an umbrella. Wait a minute.
You now have friends, I promise you. Well, fortunately, on an elevated platform, Ken Squier and Jerry Glanville are working on the arc. Well, the pace car, second pace car, is now coming out from the garage area, and they're going to. The crews are now working their way down into turn number 1, but the cars continue to circulate. And now the beginning of the field is coming off turn 4, and this time coming on to pit road for the red flag.
That's what they'll do. They'll bring them down pit road, and we'll stop them. And
now again, remember, Ned, we talked about how these cars have slick tires, and the drivers down in turn 1 they're going to have a time with no windshield wipers and slick tires getting themselves back around to pit lane and parked for this red flag. One nice thing about being on the western edge of the eastern time zone is that it stays light here until about 9 o'clock. So the NASCAR and International Speedway Corporation officials will have a look at the rain and the duration of this storm and see if the track can be dried in time to return to racing. Well, you have friends.
Ah, yes.
Neil McCaffrey's finally made it.
I knew he was smart.
If there is a plus, though, there's no lightning and thunder going on right now. It's just a lot of rain, so it'll take a while to dry it if they even think about doing that.
Ken, is it dry down there?
Oh, it's wonderful down here. We have all the comforts of home. We have our shower working at the present time. We've lost our ad libs. They're gone, so Glanville's gone. Glanville said he wanted to stay at least to see 300 miles. I bet you're glad you stayed.
Well, I want to know what the plus was that Buddy said we had. Buddy, what was the plus so like? I want to know what the plus was that Buddy said we had down here. There's no pluses down here, Buddy.
Hey, when you get around to it, sitting here in the rain, look out behind you. All around here, 136,000 people. Half of them are still in the grandstand in the pouring rain.
And that's what makes this sport really special. I got here on a Wednesday, and I think what it is, this sport is really a family weekend event. And yesterday for the ARCA race and for qualifying 80,000 people, and you can go out here in the parking lot, and I think that's why racing is catching all the other sports and passing most of them, because it's a family weekend event.
Now listen, where are we going to see Glanville's next performance on the track? You've run over 100 tracks. What's next?
We're going to Toledo on June 23rd, a Friday night, and really Buddy told me he likes Toledo, and Benny Parsons says you can be fast in Toledo. It's banked just like this track, a half-mile long.
Is this more fun than the NFL today?
It's all fun. I can't believe that, I get to do all this and be with a great guy like you. You told me to write. You wrote that down.
Right.
Be with a great guy like you. You hit me with the microphone. He hit me with the microphone.
I was going to hit you with the umbrella, but I can't find it. All right, let's get out of here and get back to Mike Joy where it's comfortable.
Well, it's the driest spot in the house. Tony Stewart gets an umbrella, and they will cover up these cars. And NASCAR has their own weather radar. They're also in touch with flight services. They'll take a look at how big a storm system this is. It has just poured rain down here. This was not a shower. This was a bath. We're under the red flag at Michigan. Jeremy Mayfield leads Dale Jarrett, Bobby Labonte, Ricky Rudd, and Tony Stewart. We're under a rain delay, a red flag for rain, and there's Bill Elliott, the one happy guy in the place because he's now back on the lead lap. We'll be right back. Next Saturday, we'll have all the shining moments with the nation's two top teams battle for the championship at the NCAA College World Series. That's next Saturday beginning at 2:30 p.m. Eastern Time. America Online users, for in-depth sports news and information, scores, stats, and more, click on AOL Sports or enter keyword CBS Sportsline.
Mike, I can't believe it. It's actually getting brighter out here and looks like the rain's lifting.
This is a big cloud, but it's just about to pass by, Dick Berggren.
Yeah, and I'm going to tell you one guy who does not want this cloud to pass by. It is Jeremy Mayfield, who is in the lead. Can you keep the rain coming down, bud?
I don't know. We're going to try, but I don't think it matters, man. This Mobile 1 Ford is awesome today. The guys in pits done a great job. Everybody can see they give me a great car, and this engine's awesome. I mean, Penske engine's done a great job on the engine this week. But hey, if it rains, it's fine. The rain knows it's one anyway. If it don't, we'll go back and go to green, go at it.
What's going on with your transmission, Jeremy?
I don't know. We've been having problems with third gear, and I guess third's gone out again, or just it seemed like it was going to go, so I'm not taking any chances. We'll save it for the end if we need it, but I think we'll be all right anyway. I mean, we got first, second, fourth, and it hadn't hurt us yet, so we'll be in good shape.
You told me last weekend at Dover that you guys were going to be incredibly fast this week at Michigan. How did you know?
Well, I mean, it's the same car we had at California, and I know Todd Parrott and all them guys, they're
pretty mad about us bringing it back, but hey, it's legal and runs good and fast, and they just need to go to work, you know, find something to beat us with, you know. But it just a good car, you know, and run good at California. No reason why wouldn't it run good here. So let's see what happens.
You're going to pit it?
I don't know. We'll have to wait and see.
Okay, Jeremy Mayfield, he's in the lead. He's doing a rain dance.
And right next to Dick, you see there the ground. There is standing water in addition to everybody being soaked. They have 3 jet dryers, brought 2 of them in, one from Indy, one from Pocono. But look at the standing water there by Jimmy Spencer's car and by Mayfield's down toward the end of pit lane. So even if this cloud moves through, it's going to be a while drying this track. They do have lots of daylight time left till about 9:30 tonight, but it's going to be NASCAR's call as to whether or not the track can be made safe for racing in a reasonable amount of time. So let's look back through the field. 13 cars now, counting Bill Elliott, are on the lead lap. There's your front 5. Fellows who've been up front all day, but Dale Jarrett keeps chipping away. And at the time of the caution, he was 13 seconds behind Jeremy Mayfield. So back through Stewart, the front 5. 6 through 10, Jeff Burton, Earnhardt, Robert Presley having a great day. This is the home race for his sponsor, Jasper Engines, Rusty Wallace, John Andretti. Back through 10th, Ward Burton, number 2 in the points, Sterling Marlin, and Bill Elliott, 13th last man on the lead lap. 1 lap down, Johnny Benson and Matt Kenseth. Dale Earnhardt Jr., Terry Labonte, Dave Blaney, Jeff Gordon, Jerry Nadeau with that same car he ran so well with at Charlotte in 20th. Jimmy Spencer, who started last, gained a lot of spots, but he's in 21st. Robbie Gordon, Schrader, Skinner, and Pruitt, all 1 lap down. Then Steve Park, Jeffrey Bodine, Michael Waltrip, LePage, Kyle Petty, Joe Nemechek, Elliott Sadler, and Kenny Irwin. Irwin's the last of the 1 lap down cars. 2 laps back, Rick Mast and Kenny Wallace. Wally Dallenbach, Chad Little, Mark Martin, and Ed Barrier. Brett Bodine is 3 laps back. So is Mike Bliss. Stacy Compton's been in and out of the garage, 39 laps down, and the only car officially out of the race is Bobby Hamilton. For the weather, well, anybody's guess. How about Bill Stevens?
Thanks, Mike. We'll do this quick because the radar's been winking out here down at the NASCAR trailer. But there's the Speedway right in the center of the screen. You see that red and that orange and the green. That's the cell that just moved through here. You see out here to the west, that's all wide open space. The next cell is way out here, and I would have to think that with as many laps left as we have to run, if we can just get this out of here, we'll have enough time to finish this race today.
Boy, a lot of green, orange, and brown down to the left and lower left, though. How about it, Dick Berggren?
Well, some of the drivers, in fact, most of the drivers have walked out of their cars and into the garage. Let me tell you what, we're talking earlier in the broadcast about old age and treachery. Here's a smart guy, Ricky Rudd. He never got out of his car, so he's still pretty dry. How is this race car today, Ricky?
Well, we've been chasing. It was real good in the beginning. This Texaco Havoline Tars. It took off, set sail there in the beginning. Then it got a little bit tight, so we tried to free it up. I got it freed up, and then we got it too loose. Right now, we're probably okay, but the way we've got the tires set, it takes too long to come in. So there'll be some adjusting going on here during this rain delay when we get back at it.
Well, now, the rain has certainly changed the racetrack. Is it smart now for a guy to come in and pit? What are you going to do?
Well, you know, watching the weather really close. It's 12 cars in the lead lap. We're sitting here 4th right now, so we're debating about, it just really depends on what this thing looks like it's going to do. If it's going to go back green, then we'll pit, stay in sync with everybody. If it looks like it's going to be one of those days where it's going to keep on raining, then we'll probably gamble and stay out.
Okay, well, we just saw a bit of sunshine. Let's go to Ralph Shaheen.
I'm with Tony Stewart, who's currently 5th. You stay pretty dry by sitting in the car. How tough was it out there driving that thing with all that water?
I about crashed coming in down the backstretch. You know, we don't have any tread on these tires, and even though it's 3,400 pounds, they still hydroplane. But you know, we had a bad pit stop early in the race, and then had a tire that equalized on us here, so it's kind of got us behind a little bit. But I still think we're in decent shape. You know, that Ford's awful strong up front there. We're going to have to try to chase him down, but you know, we got a pretty good race car still.
Well, as soon as the water started coming down as hard as it did and it started puddling up, I know being the competitor that you are, I heard you challenging Zippy to a casting contest. What's that all about?
We were talking about, he says as hard as it's raining, we ought to be able to throw rods out here in a little bit. So I just told him put a crankbait on mine and I'll be good to go.
Dick?
We're with the original Dale Earnhardt. How is your race car before the rain?
Yeah, it's a little tight off, but it's fair. I can get in the corner good and get turned, but it's just when I get in the throttle, I'm too tight to center off. So we can work on that and adjust on it. I think we get better.
Got a shot to win this thing today?
Long one.
Dale Earnhardt with a long shot to win it. Mike Joy.
Thanks, Dick. We're under the red flag here at Michigan. Perhaps the monsoon that just hit the Speedway will come to the island where they're filming Survivor. If you've not seen the show, it's kind of like Gilligan's Island meets Last Man Standing. Bunch of folks are marooned on an island. The only other things there are our CBS cameras and the survivors vote every episode. One person off the island. Who will it be next? Wednesday, 8 o'clock, 7 Central on CBS.
Mike, if you watch that thing, it's pretty intense, and the things they're doing to just survive on this island and then get to the things they have to go through, you know, to the next show, and then they just throw them off the whole deal. I mean, it's pretty tough. I wouldn't eat a bug like some of those guys had to do, and they were roasting rats the last time I looked. I guarantee that would be the end of the island for me.
All that fun, Wednesday at 8, 7 Central on CBS. The red flag is out here in Michigan. They're trying to dry the track, and coverage continues after this message and a word from your local station.
CBS Sports presentation of the 2000 Kmart 400 is sponsored by Route 66. Jeans, clothes. It's not Main Street. Only at Kmart. Haviland. Add more life to your car. And by Brewery Fresh Budweiser, official beer of NASCAR. Hey, race fans, this Bud's for you.
I've got Larry McReynolds.
Welcome back to Michigan, where we are under the red flag for rain. A real bath everyone took here, but folks are going back into the stands, and they're trying to dry off pit road and see if they can get this race perhaps restarted. Jeremy Mayfield is the leader after 151 laps. One driver's walked back to the garage area. Ralph?
Well, that would be Dale Earnhardt Jr., and we were talking on the way over here, and I said, but you had to be in the driest spot on the track. He said, no. What happened?
Oh, it's raining straight in there on me. That's a heck of a monsoon we was having there, but gives us a chance to stop and think about what we need to do to the car. We were real loose on the first set of tires. It was a set we qualified on, and we came in, put another set on, and the car got better, but now we're too tight. The track's starting to come around, and we got a lot tighter, and so we got some adjustments to make before we can keep up with these guys.
But how about the driver? How are you feeling?
Oh, I feel excellent. I was taken very good care of by the Infield Medical Center here, and had about 3 or 4 IVs this weekend, and just keeping my fluids in me, and I didn't know how dehydrated I was, but I just ain't been drinking a lot of water over the past 3 or 4 weeks, and ain't been taking good care of myself, I guess. So I better watch out and do a better job of that.
All right, Dale.
Matt Kenseth is with me. Started 23rd up to 15th, and then the skies opened up. You know, we're so used to seeing you running out front, kind of rubbing our eyes and saying, hey, what's going on today with you?
We're running terrible, actually. We just totally missed the setup with the 12 Ford the whole time we've been here. We thought we'd be pretty close, as good as we ran in California, and just none of our stuff is really working here. So if it kept raining, that wouldn't be too bad with me. I don't think we have a lot to gain where we're at right now, but, you know, maybe if it'll dry up, we can keep working on our car here a little bit, and, you know, maybe we can gain a few spots.
Did losing some of happy hour yesterday affect your ability to have a pretty good setup today?
That hurt me because we were so far off in the morning practice yesterday we could never run very long, and on happy hour we were just ready to try to make a long run, and they had the accident, and then they lost some time on the track. So I didn't really know what the car was going to do, and you know, it hasn't been very good to us today. It's been back and forth, and it's just been a handful all day.
Thanks a lot. Hope we get you back to work later.
All right. Hopefully we can gain on a little bit.
To Dick Berggren.
Well, here's a tale of 2 crew members. They're dressed identically, but they don't feel identical. On the right, it's crew chief Frank Stoddard. He is absolutely soaking wet right through. And on the right, on the left is driver Jeff Burton. He's bone dry. You get most of the money, you get all the attention, all the applause, you get to stay dry. How does this work?
It's not very fair, is it? I don't know. These guys do a great job. We've had a good day. We started 7th, which was a good start for us. We went to the back because I got in the wrong line. Then I got the pits wrong, making too many mistakes, and messed the pit stop up a little bit. Went back to probably 18th, and we rounded our way back up to 7th. So we're going good. We need a good pit stop here at the end, and we need to make the right change on the car, and I think we can race them.
Just one more stop.
I'll let him tell you that.
All right, let's go to Ken Squier.
Running 24th at the present time is the Mike Skinner car, Larry McReynolds, who puts that car together, and pretty good TV analyst. What's happened to that number 31 today?
You know, Ken, this is probably the most humbling sport that God's ever put on the face of this earth. You know, this is the same car that we led Atlanta with, run good at Texas, run good at Charlotte, sat on the pole with at Fontana. So we come in here with a lot of confidence with this race car, and it has fought us tooth and nail. The bright side of it, though, the last pit stop made major air pressure adjustments, took some wedge out of the thing, and it seemed like it come along there. You know, he run right there with a 99 car that's one of the top running cars. We need this thing to go back racing. With only 13 cars on the lead lap, I know we can get up there and battle those cars at the front of the one lap down, maybe get our lap back, but we need it to dry up first.
Yeah, and it's going to take a little bit to dry, although the weather looks pretty good. Mike Joy was saying out behind them, they got blue skies and green lights headed their way.
Well, and the thing about it, don't get dark till about 9 o'clock up here, so we got plenty of daylight left, and maybe we can get this thing going for these last 49, 50 laps.
How do you feel about what they've done for the Pontiac? We talked about that at the top of our program today, and what NASCAR has done to try to get them more in the hunt.
Well, it's kind of a two-part story, Ken, because the wind tunnel numbers was telling NASCAR the Pontiacs are a little down on downforce. Now, I think they had good balance. The difference between the front and the rear downforce, I think they had good balance. The thing I don't understand, 13 races into the season, we've had 12 winners in 13 races. We've had Pontiacs, we've had Fords, we've had Chevys, and Pontiacs have actually won the races at places where downforce means the most, Rockingham, Darlington, and Dover. So I don't know, I question it. It looks like, you know, you got Pontiacs even up there bidding for the championship, so I guess we just have to see.
Well, thanks very much for coming by for just a moment. Larry McReynolds, good old friend, thank you for spending a moment or two here, and let's go back topside with Mike Joy.
Thanks, Ken. There's only been one rain-shortened race here. It was the very first season for this track, August 1969. 165 of the 300 laps were run, but we are working on drying the track here at Michigan. It is the Speedway and NASCAR's intent to restart this race. There is a bit of sunshine poking through the clouds. Our cameramen on the roof right now are bathed in sun and hopefully getting a bit dried off, and there are 2 of the 3 jet dryers already hard at work. There's a bit of blue sky there. So hopefully we're not too long from getting a race back underway. When we come back, we'll look back at some of the great moments of CBS Sports, 19 years here at the Michigan Speedway.
This CBS Sports Race Summary is sponsored by Haviland. Add more life to your car.
We're onto the red flag at 151 laps. It's been a competitive race with 8 different leaders, swapping the lead 14 times. Before the red flag, we were at 158.8 miles per hour, well off the record set last year. Only 2 cautions, one for Bobby Hamilton and one for the rain, taking up just 6 laps, and Hamilton is the only car out of the race. NASCAR officials have just announced that 1 crew member may go to each car, lift the hood, and change the air filter, which by now is probably very wet. Let's go down to Bill Stevens.
I'm with Jeff Gordon. The drivers had some good weekends at this racetrack. You were the pole sitter last year, and today you got a good car, but there's just that one problem you just told me about.
Yeah, we had a little bit of problem with the left rear and had to come in for that extra stop, and you know, we got a lap down. That's unfortunate because the DuPont Chevrolet is running extremely well. I mean, Jeremy's pretty fast. Bobby's pretty fast, but I tell you what, I think on the longer runs, we're right there with them. So it's unfortunate. We're going to see if we can't get our lap back. We got our work cut out for us, but we're not going to give up till this thing's over.
Hasn't been a Jeff Gordon kind of year, Jeff, but you stay optimistic, and you keep saying how the team with each race just gels a little bit more.
Yeah, you know, we're constantly trying to make things better, you know, just trying to get the chemistry back, get the cars performing the way we want them to, get my driving, you know, back to where I'm comfortable and everything's going well. And we really hit on some things this week, and we qualified well. And I mean, we're right up there in the top 5, top 3 or 4 with those guys for a while. And, you know, like I said, it's unfortunate we had that problem. But this, to me, has been a very bright spot in the season because this is the best we've run in a speedway like this since Atlanta. And it's nice to be up front there.
Thanks, Jeff. Good luck later.
Thank you.
To Dick Bergman.
I'm with Steve Park, and he's definitely got his hands full and then some. Power steering failed early in the race. How hard is it to drive one of these things with no power steering?
Well, they're hard enough to drive when they do have power steering. Never mind when they run out of power steering. But that first pit stop, we came in and just ended up breaking a power steering line. So we've run the last 120 or 30 laps without no power steering. So I just want to thank Walt Smith. He's our jack man. He trains me 3-4 days a week, and he's had me up for the task. And after the rain started coming down, the guys on our crew said, Walt, if he starts whining, it's going to be your fault because you haven't trained him hard enough. So we're a little sore, but we're hoping that the track gets dried and we can get that Pennzoil Chevrolet back up towards the front. We've we've been through a lot of adversity, but we just we need to get back up there.
Well, you get a little break to catch his breath. To Ralph Stevens. To Ralph Shaheen.
Thanks, Dick. One of the most impressive runs of the day actually has been by this man, Robert Presley. Now, Robert, you started 31st, I believe it was, and you're all the way up to 8th now on the lead lap and challenging. One of the keys that everybody talks about with a strong race team is people. And you've got a new crew chief here this year in Ryan Pemberton. How much of a difference has Ryan made in your program?
That's the whole deal. Is Ryan's brought organization to the team. You know, he's making the calls. We're not second-guessing anything he's doing. He just brought, you know, everything that we've been lacking on this race team. Knew we had the technology here. We knew we had good people working for us, but we just needed somebody in there to lead us, and Ryan was the guy that we brought in, and, man, he's done a great job. We've had a lot of good runs this year and just got ourselves in trouble in the middle of the race, you know, getting a lap down, but the car has been strong, you know, all year, and today it's a good race car. It ain't as good as some we've had this year, but the thing is we're going through with it today.
All right, good luck to you later on today, Robert. Ken Squier.
Jeff Gordon's car owner, Rick Hendrick, has told me that the diamond in the rough, the next Jeff Gordon, is this young man from Connecticut, Jerry Nadeau, currently running 20th in this race with a number 25 car. And that is a car that's been under a cloud for years. And yet, Rick Hendrick has told me that they've spent more money trying to develop that car. You certainly proved at Charlotte, where he dominated 2/3 of the 600 this year, led a lot of it, that this car could carry you. What's holding this thing back?
Right now, if we can just have a little luck on our side, we'd win some races. I mean, we've been so competitive every race we've gone to this season. We've qualified good. We've only took 1 provisional out of 15 races so far this season. So we've got what it takes to run up fronts and win races. The biggest thing is trying to keep everything together all day long. We didn't have a great qualifying run this weekend, but we're running fairly good. We didn't have a chance to go out and qualifying yesterday because of a problem we had in the motor, but we got that fixed. So the guys are doing an awesome job. MichaelHolligan.com. We got to thank those guys for hanging with us all season long, and we'll just see what we can do at the end of the race.
The Nadeau story is far different than any other in the Winston Cup pits. His father, a modified racer down at the Danbury Racerama in Connecticut, but he learned his business by going to Europe and running in road courses to get here to stock car racing. That's a long way around.
It's a different route, and I'm sure a lot of people wouldn't want to take the same route I took. I mean, it was a heartbreaker. There was times, my God, I mean, you know, I would live in Charlotte and fly from Charlotte, go to Russia, race in Russia, come back, fly to Luxembourg, drive down from Luxembourg down to Italy and do a race down there. So, man, I just spent so much time away from home, and, you know, it's been rough, you know, but all in all, I really wouldn't change anything I've done the way I've came down here. And again, I want to say hello to my mom and dad back home in Connecticut and also my wife back in Charlotte.
Rick Hendrick says he is the man to watch, Jerry Nadeau. Let's go topside again with Mike Joy.
Ken, the track is starting to gray up, but here is the big problem, this fish pond down near the beginning of pit road. I'd see Dave Marcus down there with a line and a lure, but that standing water right there is going to have to be shoved off to the infield or tri-oval grass here in order to get that area anywhere near dry. And right now, that is the biggest problem that they have. Otherwise, the track is drying up very nicely. Now, tonight on 60 Minutes, should an 11-year-old who shot and killed a man be tried as a juvenile or as an adult who could go to prison for life? That's tonight on 60 Minutes. We're under a red flag for a very hard rain shower, but now things are drying out. We're looking forward to getting back to racing, and we'll be right back.
Bill McAtee at Kemper Lakes for the final round of the SBC Senior Open, and what a charge today by two-time defending champion Hale Irwin. His tee shot on the par 3 17th. And now for birdie. And a round of 64 following a 77 for Hale Irwin. And quite a round today from Bruce Fleischer, the player of the year last year on the senior tour. Missed the green at 9, went on to make par, 4 under today, and he has the lead outright at -7. Tom Kite and Graham Marsh are 1 shot back at -6. And now let's send you back to Michigan.
Tuesday on CBS, don't miss the countdown to the funniest movies of all time. Drew Barrymore hosts AFI's 100 Years, 100 Laughs. I don't know. Animal House, Blazing Saddles, Blues Brothers. That'd be a tough choice for me.
Ah, boy, I tell you.
Well, it's Tuesday on CBS. Here's NASCAR's Chief Operating Officer, Mike Helton, having a look at the track drying, which continues. Walking along pit road, where the cars have been stopped at 151 laps. Only one rain-shortened race here, 1969 and 77 postponed till Monday. And we'll show you some highlights of 18 years of CBS at Michigan. Starting with June '82, after a 6-hour rain delay, this race was finished in near darkness.
Cale, I know you're going to give the folks back home some good pictures. Well, we're going to try, Ned. I hope it's all out the rear view. We're going to try to stay up front. Good luck.
Here comes Waltrip to the inside. They're going down into turn number 3. It's just about equal. Waltrip is on the inside. Yarborough is on the outside and just gets through.
Cale Yarborough is coming down, and he's going to do it. He has won the Michigan 400 in incredible style. Whoa, Waltrip and Yarborough getting into it at the end of the race. And Waltrip spins out.
You were not very pleased with what happened. What did happen out there, Darrell?
And we made a little contact, but no problem.
So it's over, and it's a second place.
No problem.
Back in front, Elliott holding on, trying to win his first super speedway race in second. The man who's never won this race. Darrell Waltrip, and here comes Earnhardt. And a character right out of one of the best of Mark Twain. Stays out in front and draws away. The winner of the Michigan 400 as the crowd stands and cheers the Elliott family of Dawsonville, Georgia. Here they come. Last lap to decide it all. Earnhardt, the defending Winston Cup champion, trying to hold off Davey Allison. Allison is making his move. He closes. He pulls up. He's pulling alongside. Davey Allison on the high side. Earnhardt on the bottom. Here they come to the line. Allison trying to drop low as they come to the line. It will be by 4 or 5 car lengths. Car number 3. And Ricky Rudd won't let go. Smoke pouring out of 43. Fire coming. Engine goes away on Petty's car. He's trying to control. He loses it. It's spinning toward the infield. Coming back up.
Beautiful piece of driving. Beautiful.
Great save.
But what a great day for Ricky Petty for so long, and then to have to end this way.
And the winner today is Bill Elliott. The Ford has come back to win here at Michigan, where it won 3 in a row. Ernie Elliott being congratulated. 10 laps to go. It's 18 seconds between Martin in first, Rudd in second.
Martin stayed out another lap. They can't afford to run out of fuel, though, man. That thing, you know, if it runs out, you've lost the whole battle this time. I believe he's out.
I think he's run out of fuel.
Ran out of fuel going down the back straightaway.
And across the line. The checkers are out, and Ricky Rudd has pulled it off.
Oh, Michael Waltrip is a little upset here at Lake Speed.
Michael Waltrip went over and had words and maybe more with car number 9. Here he comes, around, headed for checkers. Ernie Irvan is finally going to win. The track that nearly did him in. Ernie Irvan for the checkered flag, and he's won the Michigan 400.
Started about 10 laps to go, started getting tears in my eyes. I tell you, it's great. Only in America.
A lot of years and a lot of great races here.
Well, anybody that does not think that the Ernie Irvan story is the one that everybody was, I mean, everybody in the infield, everybody in the grandstand, and everybody across the United States was pulling for Ernie Irvan. The racetrack that almost took his life, he comes back and wins that. That's my favorite.
Yeah, that was a very, very special day. No question about that. Of course, you know, being a dad and have a son win his first NASCAR Winston Cup race, it wasn't in the June race here at Michigan, but it was in August when DJ beat the late Davey Allison by 8 inches to the line, and that was a special one for me.
A sad note amongst those highlights doing that 1982 interview of Darrell Waltrip was Larry Newber of Indianapolis, who helped get ESPN on the air with auto racing coverage. This past week, Newber passed away of a stroke while working at home. and he'll be missed by the entire auto racing community. We are under the red flag as they clean up rain here at Michigan, hopeful of getting this race restarted. We will be back to the Michigan Speedway, but first this message and then the Payne Weber CBS Sports Desk with Craig Bolerjack. Welcome back to Michigan Speedway. The jet dryers are working double time, and there's a lot of gray showing up on the asphalt around the speedway, and they're working hard on pit road. Jeremy Mayfield, the leader at the red flag, with 49 laps to go over Dale Jarrett, Bobby Labonte, Ricky Rudd, Tony Stewart, Jeff Burton, Dale Earnhardt, Robert Presley, Rusty Wallace, and John Andretti. The top 10, 13 cars are on the lead lap. Your street car has a snorkel assembly for engine intake air that prevents water from getting into the engine. Nothing like that on these NASCAR Winston Cup cars, where the air cleaner element is open, and at the base of the windshield all that water can just pour into it. So the NASCAR officials allowing the teams to open the hood and change the filter element, preparatory to us getting back to racing.
They're allowed one man to go there to do that, and we're seeing Leonard Wood there now making that change on the Elliott Sadler car number 21.
Under the watchful eye of a NASCAR official.
He's actually finishing up right there. He's putting the tape on there on the bolt to keep it from backing off. Rusty Wallace right now, they're undoing the air intake part of it so they can take it off and take the air cleaner out from under that cover.
So we're working on getting back to racing here at Michigan. Sun poking through those mostly cloudy skies. There's a bit of it, and the track is drying. So we'll be right back to Michigan Speedway on CBS Sports after this.
CBS Sports presentation of the 2000 Kmart 400 is sponsored by Kmart, where NASCAR fans race for savings. Outback Steakhouse, no rules, just right. And by Ford Outfitters, no boundaries.
Welcome back to Michigan Speedway, where our coverage will continue until 4 p.m. Eastern Time as scheduled. Then CBS Sports will go to its scheduled golf coverage. But race fans, reach for your remotes, because at 4 o'clock we'll be switching the race coverage over to TNN cable. CBS continuing with golf, and the racing will resume. We'll go right to TNN at the 4 o'clock hour in just about 10 minutes from now. Track drying efforts continue. Let's join Ken Squier.
Thank you, Mike. No state in the United States takes more pride in their stock car drivers than the state of Virginia. In the early days, it was Curtis Turner and Joe Weatherly, and then it was Lenny Pond and Ricky Rudd. These days, the Burton brothers and the Sadler brothers. And probably one of the proudest moments for the Old Dominion state was when the most respected racing team in stock car racing, the Wood brothers, took one of their own, a Virginian, to drive for them, Elliott Sadler. Elliott's with me now, and I'm sure you've heard the story since yesterday of one of the most dramatic incidents of the 2000 season to date. In turn one, yesterday afternoon, half hour left in the final practice. You're riding with Elliott Sadler. There's the tire blowing. There's the first time over, second, third. How many times did you go over, Elliott?
I think we ended up 12 times before it was all said and done. It's definitely the scariest time of my life, but I tell you what, the Wood brothers built me a great race car as far as being safe. NASCAR did a great job on the specs, and I'm just happy to be here with you fine people today.
Well, we're awfully glad to have you with us, and seeing you before the race began today out here signing autographs and smiling, and that was such a vicious, nasty sidewinder.
It was. It's never been on my roof before, and the scariest thing, it spooks you pretty bad. It's just really silent. When you go up in the air, seems like you can hear a pin fall, and just kept on rolling and bouncing over and over, and just pretty scary sight, but I was conscious the whole time. I remember every bump and bruise and every spark that flew, and the most special moment is it seemed like I had just finished flipping, and Kyle Petty was there to help me get out of my car. He must have stopped while I was rolling and ran down to me and helped me get out of my car and kept me calm, and just made sure I was okay, and that's really special to me that NASCAR families can stick that way together even in the trying times.
I watched Dale Earnhardt Jr. and Ward Burton rushing over to the infield care center here to check on your condition, and then they let him in, and therefore we thought that things might be okay.
Yeah, they let those guys in, and I said hello to Ward, and Dale Jr. and I have always been great friends, and he came in and picked at me a little bit about how high I got, that maybe I didn't get as high as he did at Daytona a couple years ago, but you know, it's great to have great friends like that in racing, and you know, I'm just glad that we were able to get a bag-up car here today and do the best we can for Sitco, and the car's been running good here at the end. I'll be glad to get back in this race car and run the last 50 laps.
The Spirit of America, Elliott Sadler, car number 21 for the Wood brothers. Now let's continue, move along with our coverage today, and go to Mike Joy.
Thanks, Ken. You see the drying efforts on pit road, and that light color in the asphalt means that area is dry. Most of the pit boxes are dry. The high groove and lower grooves of the racetrack are pretty well dry, and up in turn 4 near pit road, that is the one area where there is still some standing water, and NASCAR officials continue to work there to try to get this race back underway. There's the area that they're working hard on right now. Shift into gear with in-depth NASCAR coverage, including driver profiles, photos, and more. Just click on Racing at cbs.sportsline.com, or on America Online, it's keyword CBS Sportsline. Now at 4 p.m., our race coverage will continue on TNN, and at 4 o'clock, CBS Sports presents the Senior Tour with all the action from Kemper Lakes Golf Club as play continues at the SBC Senior Open. We'll be right back here to Michigan Speedway on CBS right after this.